Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to. See, look crazy, Bill.
Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Tuesday morning. Lloyd is he's a little worried. Here.
Just taking it for whatever's going to happen.
All right.
Just here.
All right.
There's nothing I can do. There's no point in trying to make it work if it doesn't want to. So, Halloween vibes. Maybe a little spooky still.
All right. We'll see if we can't make it through
See
it.
how far we can go.
Jacques going to be here at 7:30. Coach Caskey's coming through at 8:30 for an extended cut of Caskey's clicker. It will be 8:30 this morning. We'll have a short cut of just Alabama in the offense, and then we will look deeper into Alabama and the Saints if you want to hang out for a little OT today, as we'll go past 9 o'clock with Caskey's clicker here. Remember, every day we're brought to you by Go Chevrolet, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. You can shop the entire inventory online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. And you can find new cars in LaPlace, used cars here in Baton Rouge at Go Express Auto Sales. Go Chevrolet brings you our show every day. And Metropolitan Health Group is the phone line sponsor. Jacques will be here 7:30. And as we said, Coach Caskey will be inside the studio at 8:30. The Carpool Queen is here.
I just realized in the chat, I typed, we're about to give it a shot and see how long we can last.
Wow.
Already had one comment, Chris Farmer, I usually don't last very long, so I'm used to it. But right after I typed it, I stared at you, first of all, and you didn't know I typed it.
No,
so
I was just trying to get on the internet.
I shouldn't have said that.
We're good.
Get
We're
inside
good.
of the chat. We're good.
We're
We're
here.
performing.
This is what happens when Kevin dies.
I know, poor Kevin.
Oh, you lost the fish.
Lost the fish, the
Wow.
parrotfish that we won on Sunday.
Was that 48 hours?
Pretty much, yeah. You know, he seemed fine yesterday. He was swimming around, and then I walked back by and went, and there he was, kind of at the bottom, and I was like, Kevin? Just thought he was resting or getting some food out of the rocks, but he was definitely dead.
Wow.
I feel like goldfish kind of take the easy way out all the time. It's not they're just
By
kinda
dying?
Like, yeah,
It is
like,
the easy
kinda
way
like,
out.
I'm done.
What is? I mean, they're tough to keep alive.
That's what I'm
I've
saying.
heard
They don't
that,
do
like,
anything
the
but
lady in-
swim, sleep, and shit.
Well, the lady in PetSmart said she had one just like it because it's like a mixture of a goldfish and a koi that they have at those fairs, so they get big. And she said she had one that lasted 3 years. So she's like, here's what you need, and this will keep him alive. You'll be good to go. Next day, he's dead. Now he's kind of suctioned up into the filter. I haven't gotten the nerve to get him out yet. I've been kind of waiting on David to do it, and he hasn't.
Tough break,
So he's just
dude.
sucked up into the filter
keep
right
him
now.
just like that.
Kev,
Yeah.
he had such a great opportunity for a great life.
Perfect. That's so true.
Golly.
Yeah.
I know. I really thought we
You
were
hit
giving
the
him a
gold
great
mine.
life.
I mean,
He
he
did.
had gone. I mean, he had hit the gold mine.
He
literally.
I'm going from Carney Folk to Old Goodwood, and
I
now
know.
he couldn't handle it.
I know. That's what we thought too. We were like, "This is it, Kevin. This is your
Yeah,
life
man.
now. You're gonna be happy here."
Welcome to it,
You
bro.
saved him.
Let me get your
I
robe.
I thought I did.
Wait, how did you win him?
You throw the ping pong balls in the little fishbowl things.
Oh, nice.
Sophie did it.
Wow.
We couldn't believe it. Yeah, she got it in, and then
It's Carney Folk. They
Anna
don't
Kate
want
got
you to
one
win.
in too, and we were like, "Oh, 2," and they're like,
Fish.
"Well, it doesn't matter how many you get in, you just get one fish." And I'm like, "Well, why are we still throwing balls?
Give
She
me
got
five-
the first one in. What are we
Give
doing?"
me $5 more.
Exactly.
They're tough, man. Goldfish are tough.
Do we?
I know.
Are we gonna?
I'm
do
gonna
the
get
kids
another
know?
fish. Yeah, they know.
Oh, I didn't know if you would do like
They know. They weren't as sad as I thought.
You
No.
go toilet?
No,
I
it's
haven't
still
done it
in the-
yet.
it's
He's
still
still
in the
sucked up in the
filter.
filter.
Oh, wow.
Nobody's touched it. Nobody wants to. Everybody's just ignoring it.
Anybody trick or treat last night?
No, but I saw some.
Well, yeah, I would hope you would see.
Well, you know,
some.
neighborhood life. I didn't expect to, and I was like,
You have a good neighborhood for trick or treat.
Yeah, I bet there was. I bet
they were out. The freaks
yeah,
were out.
for
You're
sure.
all children. I was like, this seems like fun. They're like, you know, you forget that it's such a good time because I didn't grow up in a neighborhood, so I've never
Oh.
really experienced trick or treating. Like, of course, we would go travel.
Where'd
but
you grow up? Like
living-
an apartment building?
Yeah, I went house to house. It's kind of like Kevin. Glad to be adopted.
Carnies.
Yeah. But to see it actually happen, you know, you're like, oh, everybody seems like they're having a pretty good time. The Courtney family did not give out candy, so do not call,
Why
do not
not?
text, because we don't want to be just
You,
in
like,
case and
turn
kids
the
get
lights
poisoned.
down?
Yeah, we were
You
like,
shut it
"No,
down?
shut it down. Just flew
Oh,
the Ukraine
no.
flag.
Because you're worried people thought you would poison their candy?
Yes, we don't want to be implicated in that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That being- you can't, if you don't play the game, you can't get a prize.
That's true.
That's true. That's true.
So Dad was like, especially because he's a doctor, he's like, I don't want to be implicated in any of this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just,
Safe play.
yeah.
Wow.
And he used to be big into Halloween. Like he would like play music outside and
Yeah.
do all of this stuff. Like he's into it, but he was like, "This is not cool. I don't want to
Oh,
get just pushing it
no.
away." Sorry, kids. Next door.
I feel like last night was kind of my last trick or treating experience with Jordan.
No, not yet.
Probably
Yeah,
so.
man. I
Those
mean, like
last
we didn't
year
even
was it
see him.
for
He
us.
just ran out. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah. You
know,
mean
like,
together? Like you
um,
walking with him?
Oh no! Just like
He's starting to do nefarious things.
yeah, right. I mean, like you could almost like drop him off at the party next year.
Yeah.
And then,
That's,
like,
you
pick him
will.
up.
That's
Yeah.
exactly how it goes.
Yeah, Price starts. I mean,
I mean, I feel like I could have got away with that last night.
You could have. You could have.
wait-
But next year will
wait,
be the year.
What's the over under at 20? You have to give him like he's gonna do something where you're like, hold on, sit down. We have to have a talk.
Oh, soon.
Yeah, maybe last night.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, 11 and 12, bro.
That's
for
what I'm
a-
saying.
I
He's
mean,
getting to
a
the- if
lot
he
of
does-
stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happening.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Because if he's already, because I mean, Halloween is one of the nights where it's like, oh, my dad's gonna let me, like,
Yeah.
I'm running off with my friends.
Yeah.
So he probably did something yesterday, but as long as you don't know about it,
Sure.
it's good. But
Right.
something's gonna happen where it's gonna come to a head, and you're like, Jordan, come on. I know, You're not fooling me.
right.
I'm you.
That's right. All right, a couple of things here before we get to it. Jacques will be here at 7:30 this morning. We got Brian Kelly's sound from yesterday's press conference. Compliments of our friends over at WAFB. We got a couple of recaps from what Nick Saban said yesterday at his press conference to lead off the week. But real quick, some housekeeping here. The World Series Game 3 last night was delayed between Philly and Houston. That will go tonight as rain was just pouring throughout the evening last night. So that will be played tonight. Game 4 is set for Wednesday and Game 5 on Thursday. 6 and 7, if necessary, will go back to Houston. This series right now is tied at a game apiece. Brian Harsin was fired yesterday, the same day that John Cohen was hired at Auburn University. It was obvious that they hired Cohen. His first order of business was that, yeah, man, you got to go fire him. So they
want this
were,
job?
yeah, right. They have fired Brian Harsin, and they have ultimately put themselves into the hat or into the ring for a new coach. They have
People
paid
are losing
$36
their
million
minds.
over the last 2 coaches in buyouts. So look, Auburn is looking for a fresh start. They've got a new president. They've obviously now have a new athletics director. They've got a vacancy at the football head coaching spot. Listening and talking to some people over at Mississippi State, John Cohen was not going to take this job with the political steering that Auburn has the reputation for with the boosters, alumni, and the money. He's got, from what I have been told and understand, kind of like full authority to make the decisions and make the hires. And there's a bunch of names that are starting to circulate around this Auburn job immediately. And one name that seems to be picking up a lot of speed in a lot of circles is Deion Sanders. Sanders is obviously over at Jackson State. And since the 60 Minutes interview a couple of weeks ago, and then the game day feature last week where Jackson State was in, game day was in Jackson, Mississippi for Jackson State and Southern, Dion was asked point blank on the set of game day, would you listen to Power 5 and big job opportunities if they were open? And, he point blank said, I would be a fool not to. So he is obviously open for business when you're talking about Power 5 SEC schools, and someone that I think is going to really, he could come in and shake the entire thing up as far as the SEC and just the feeling of it. I mean, he would do things very differently, but he would attract all of the players. He would attract. Auburn is in a unique spot, in my opinion, right? And they're especially in a unique spot right now because of their location, their geography, where they're located, kind of northern Alabama, right below Georgia, right next to Tennessee, kind of on top of the University of Florida. Obviously, Alabama's right there. So, I mean, they are sitting in a melting pot of players, but they're sitting at a – yeah, they've always been there, but they're sitting at a time where all of those schools are now good.
Yeah.
I mean, Georgia really has been a threat, but not the threat it is today over the last 25, 30 years, right? Tennessee has been on a roller coaster since 99, and it feels like this is the first time that they are really relevant again in a long time. Alabama's obviously Alabama. Florida's been up and down. Auburn's been up and down, but right now it feels like, for the most part, the majority of those teams and programs are really, they're hitting at a high level right now. And whoever takes that job is going to be in the middle of just, SEC gauntlet. You're sitting right in the middle of it. I mean, a school like LSU inside of SEC coaching circles has a unique advantage because there's no other state school. Mm-hmm. There's no other school that you're battling. If you're born in Louisiana, odds are you're a diehard LSU fan, right? I mean, if you're born in Texas, depending on where you're born, you might be at A&M, Texas, Baylor, Houston. There's a lot to choose from. Texas Tech. There's just a lot of schools to choose from. Alabama, Auburn. The state's cut in half.
Yeah.
Even like South Carolina, South Carolina, Clemson.
Yep.
Georgia, Georgia Tech.
It's weird how LSU is on its own.
Yeah, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, obviously.
Well, wait, I heard his number one choice, John Cohen's number one choice is Lane Kiffin.
Which, to me,
because he's the transfer portal king, and that's what they need.
Well, I think
say Brian Kelly is the transfer portal king.
They need to know. They need to go to the transfer portal.
Yeah.
They need to restock the roster. I think, what Harsin kind of won the job on was that he was going to out scheme and outwork Saban and Smart and bring him in with finding diamonds in the rough. And people were like, bro, that ain't gonna work. This isn't Boise. And he never adjusted.
Wasn't his big plan was like, I'm not going to recruit the same players. It's like, well, you probably should. If they have an offer from Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Florida, you should probably be interested. You're not going to find like that many. You can't fill the roster that way, I wouldn't imagine, unless you want to redo college football. But it seems like the 5 stars are kind of the ones that you should go after. Yeah. And if you're Auburn and you see a coach that's like actively not recruiting, you saw with Dan Mullen, where it's like, we're not that interested in this. We're going to do it my way. And it's like, this is the way it works.
It's a dead end.
It's a dead end. How many times can you find a 3-star that's going to be pan out?
Right.
Well, yeah. But Lane Kiffin knows how to do it, and it's not happening at all.
Well, Lane Kiffin's getting 5 stars.
Right.
Look at his quarterback's a transfer. His top tight end was a transfer in Trigg. His running back is a transfer. He's got a wide receiver.
But they don't have the NIL opportunity at Ole Miss that they could have at Auburn.
I don't know if Kiffin, for as much turmoil as his career has taken on, the Auburn job would be another level of, that he would dive into. I don't know if he would use it to get more money for Ole Miss or he would really take the job. I think when it initially opened up with Harsin accepting it, I think he was interested and would have listened then. I don't know
Think
how
about that,
serious.
though, that rivalry.
Oh, my gosh.
He would be back in that Alabama-Auburn rivalry and could make that a rivalry again.
And I think that's what would pull him.
Oh, yes,
yeah, that's what
indeed.
would pull him.
It would be awesome.
Would just to be in the middle of it. You know what I mean? Just to be front and center. I think that the top 3 candidates for the job are Deion Sanders, Lane Kiffin, and Matt Rule. I think Matt Rule is a guy that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people just because of his experience in college football and how much success he's had at, schools like Baylor, like Temple, and, understands recruiting and the college game. And some people are just college fits. He feels more like a college fit than an NFL fit after he's had the run in Carolina. It just didn't work out. So those are 3 names for, to me. I think that Auburn, is calling it. And maybe Hugh Freeze. I don't know with the Cohen. Maybe I don't know.
Just got an extension.
Oh,
Yeah, but I
man.
mean,
I know it's a fake one.
like
but
like
it's still
Crane said, I mean, there's a lot of holes in it to get out of it, and I mean, he wasn't fired for anything from an NCAA standard. I mean, he obviously the stuff that was going on personally ended up costing him his job. But one thing that the SEC really only cares about, he does, and that's win.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if maybe he could be somebody that could sneak into consideration here, but it seems like the early favorites for this job are Deion Sanders, Lane Kiffin, and Matt Rule.
Did you read Mike Leach's quote about it? I'm surprised this happened, but I'm not surprised something surprising happened. Something surprising happens every week.
Wow.
I love him.
What a gem, dude.
I know. But people are losing their minds. Like a lot of people around Starkville and Matt Wyatt, the radio personality up there in Jackson Lake, they're like, this is disgusting behavior.
Well,
it's not.
I mean, it's not. I mean, but
It's not.
it is like this guy can just pick up and leave in the middle of football
It's
season.
weird.
Just like overnight, he can go from on Monday, on Sunday, he's Mississippi State's AD, and then Monday morning, he's firing Brian Harsin. I mean, it's like
activity.
And
at
he's
least.
been
if
in
you're
Starkville for so long. He was the baseball coach. I mean, he's been there for like 30 years. So it's surprising. It's just like Mike
something
said.
surprising happens every day. But if you're Auburn, don't you feel like this is kind of a home run automatically?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, the shit's changing right now.
Yeah.
Like, at least
definitely.
he came in and didn't stew
Well,
on it.
I mean, there was probably, there was discussion like, hey, man, like, look, this is going to happen really, really fast.
Yeah.
Start making moves.
It needed to for Auburn.
Like, if
really.
you're interested in this is what it's going to look like. And on the first day of the job before lunch, we're going to need you to fire the football coach.
Right. Go make some friends.
Right.
But if you remember, like, what was Scott Woodward's kind of approach? Obviously, a lot slower with Ed Orgeron, to where he was brought in and it was like, well, he just won a national championship. He gives Ed Orgeron the extension as like a sign of like good faith, I'd imagine, and to build in a buyout to where I'd imagine he noticed very quickly. He's like, I don't think Ed Orgeron's going to be the one for me.
I think he knew that in 2019.
Right.
Yeah, I think even on the championship run, there were signs of this can't last. This isn't built to last because Burrow and Brady covered so much stuff up from O's just inability to run the program.
Because I would imagine if you're Scott Woodward, he probably would have liked to have done it like this, where it's like, let me go in, let me make the immediate change. But it was just such a weird spot for LSU football, and that's obviously the bell cow, to where he was probably like, I have to wait this out a little bit, but I know what I want to do. And then if you're Cohen, you get to like, all right, this is what we're doing immediately. Like, it's almost easier for him than it was for Scott Woodward to have to play like a little bit of like glad-handing everybody.
But
Yeah.
Is there an interim?
I guess there would be.
That-
I mean,
Who?
like
why haven't they announced that yet, right?
you talking about from?
For Auburn.
Oh yeah, Cadillac Williams. I thought you meant an interim AD.
Okay, so he's already announced
yeah.
an N.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I wonder when they were gonna wait till the end of the season then if they decided Kiffin, for instance, they would wait until the end of the season.
I don't know, man. I mean, who was it?
I
Was
hope
it
not.
was it Texas Tech? Last year, they took Baylor defensive coordinator Matt Wells. They took him like in November.
Yeah,
yeah. He was Baylor
But
was on
head
a
coach.
playoff run. Right.
That's a
Head
little
coach
different.
is different. But when one thing you do in making the move, like LSU did last year, is you put yourself in the front of the line. Does that mean that you get the guy you want? No, but it definitely means that you can have the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You can let people know who you're interested in. You can talk to agents, back channels. You can make sure that whoever you're interested in knows that you care. So
I
it'll be
think
interesting.
Kiffin makes the most sense.
We'll see. We'll see. It's open for business now. We'll talk to Jacques next. Jacques will be here. We'll switch to LSU, Alabama, and we will also hear some bites from Brian Kelly. We will hear from Kelly on what he had to say here on game week. 8:30 this morning, we're going to talk to Kyle Caskey for Caskey's Clicker. He'll come in and tell us about this Alabama offense, Bryce Young and the crew, how LSU is going to have a chance to stop the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by R&B Builders. Saw Rhett and his crew last night trick-or-treating, Super Mario, and Princess Leia, I believe, maybe?
Or Princess Peach?
I
That
don't
would
know.
make they go Peach is the one in pink that Mario has to rescue from Bowser. Princess Leia would be an odd combination.
A princess.
There you go. Carte blanche.
Let's call her princess.
Damn it.
But it was great to see Rhett and the family last night. Remember, if you need any work done around your family home, you want to build your dream family home, then let Rhett and his crew take care of that for you. rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com. When we come back, we'll talk to Jacques from WAFB. We'll get his thoughts on game week here. What do you expect Saturday in Tiger Stadium as Bama's in town for a SEC Western Division showdown between the Tigers and Tide coming up on Saturday night. Jacques coming up next here, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
The tech.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
Hi, this is Dan Canterbury. Join myself and the legend, Coach Skip Burtman, for Hold the Rope Tuesday nights on YouTube. You can go to @HoldTheRope, Skip and Cano. Skip, tell them what we do.
We've got a lot of education. We've got some people that can tell you a lot about a lot of things. In the area of sports, we have a lot of entertainment. We got a lot of energy putting this in. I think you'll like it.
So join us for Hold the Rope.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
We're sitting in the dugout, and Pelfrey is not pitching today, but he's in full uni, he's turfs, and he's standing up on the fence, whatever, just like this, watching the game, and we start talking about, pissing your pants, something whatever. He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. No, you won't. Yeah, how much money do you give me? So we gathered up however many people were in there. I think it ended up being $2,000 total. And so he goes in there. He's watching the game, and he just starts pissing in his pants. Gray pants. So you see it going down his pants, long pants going into his turf. And he's just going into his turfs. He takes his turfs out and dumps out the pee outside on the warning track, the dugout, and he just puts them back on, and he finishes the inning.
Hey, can you hear me?
The inning is over with to leave. And so he's watching the whole inning with piss in his pants. And everybody is dying laughing. Manager's laughing. Everybody's laughing. He gets up out of it and walks to the dugout, pee all in his pants, in the gray pants. It was awesome.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Ghost Chevrolet, live here on this Tuesday. Remember, hit the like and share button.
Thankful to be live.
Yes. Good work, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Jacques is here with us each week talking about the matchup, looking back here as LSU's got Bama in town. Saw Jacques yesterday at the press conference. We'll hear some of the bites of yesterday's presser.
Great stand-up outside the stadium.
Oh, yeah, you like that. A little old school in front of the Tiger cage. Good job by Darren DeQuano, who felt like it was lucky to make it there. Hacking DeQuano yesterday. Jacques, good morning. How are you?
Hey, guys. Good morning. What's going on? Yeah, Darren DeQuano, you were professionally lit for sure. Did I come in hot there?
No, you're great, bro. You're great. Great background this morning.
I know.
Checking into Casa Doucet.
Look at all that back there.
Yeah, it's just when you get old, you collect stuff.
No doubt.
No
doubt. I get it. What did you make of Brian Kelly's demeanor in his first week of Alabama-LSU matchup as LSU's head coach?
Well, Jordy, I thought it was a lot like Nick Saban in terms of eliminating the clutter. We're not going to make this a big game. Let's not step outside of ourselves. Let's just try to focus on this being a game. It brings me all the way back to Nick Saban in 2003 when Georgia came to town, and that was the first time he pretty much said, hey, look, the sky's not going to fall if we don't win this game. We don't need to create a lot of anxiety and whatnot for our players. And Nick Saban was right in that case. LSU beat Georgia and then lost to Florida, a game that had little hype that year. So I thought Coach Kelly came across very professional. He came across very much in charge and in control of what is going to take place. And I think that it'll hit him on Saturday night, the true essence of LSU football, because we haven't really had an LSU-Alabama game in Tiger Stadium generate the kind of Tiger Stadium, at least atmosphere and magic, since 2018. And we certainly want this game to go a lot better than that one went against Tua and company back in 2018. So, I'm not sure if LSU's ready to step in the ring and exchange punches with Alabama yet, but then, my heart's telling me that they are. My head may be telling me something different, but, LSU's trending in the right direction for sure, and looking forward to a big game. Because I would say if you're an LSU fan, the last 5 trips that Alabama has made to Tiger Stadium have just been agony and misery for a combination of reasons. You should have beat them in 2012. You definitely should have beat them in 2014. 2016 was 0-0 after 3 quarters. Yeah. 2018, you get beat 29-0, and then 2020 was probably one of the most depressing scenes I've ever seen on LSU campus during the COVID season. Alabama's in town. You mentioned Darren DeQuano. We drive right down the street on Nicholson Drive. No resistance, about a 5-minute drive. Nobody on campus, nobody there, and Alabama beats LSU 55-17. The famous Ed Ogeron taking the headset off and throwing it on the sideline that night. That kind of, showed that the end was near for him just, less than a year after winning the national title.
LSU is a 2-score underdog in this game. The more that I hear people talk about it, whether it's locally or nationally, feel like it's going to be a pretty good game. What do you expect of this game, 5 days out, 6 days out?
My concern for LSU is, can they run the ball? A lot has been made, or people are saying Alabama's defense isn't as good as what it used to be and this and that. And I think they're just looking at that one game in which Tennessee scored 52 points. Jordy, I used to joke that runs per carry against the Alabama defense was my college GPA. 2.2, 2.3, around that point. This year, it's 2.7. But, Josh Williams has been an amazing story, the former walk-on, what he has done as far as blocking, receiving, running the football. If you would have told me that he would have been the feature back before the year, I would not have believed it. So can he and Armani Goodwin give LSU what they need in the rushing attack against an Alabama defense that's giving up less than 100 yards per game on the ground, and LSU averaging 142 rushing? A lot of that's coming from Jaden Daniels, your quarterback. And so does Jaden Daniels still pull the trigger out there? I felt even in the Ole Miss game to an extent he was a little shy in pulling the trigger. Can it be more like the Florida game in which, hey, look, let me throw it up to Brian Thomas. Let me throw it up to Jeray Jenkins. Let's see what those guys can do. And certainly there'll be some personal locked in with all this with Eli Ricks on the corner. You heard Nick Saban in his press conference yesterday address that, saying that, look, he played very well against Mississippi State the last time out. We don't need him getting caught up in any personal, emotional stuff this weekend because he's playing the team that he used to play for. So does LSU try to get in his head a little bit in this game? So I'm rambling. There's a lot of things to talk about. I mean, if you read the Alabama perspective, they feel like their wide receivers are very pedestrian.
Yeah.
If you remember the 2019 LSU-Alabama game, I remember CBS put a graphic on the screen that Alabama had like 4 wide receivers that ran a 4.2 or less, or around there in the 40-yard dash with Devontae Smith and
Ruggs, Judy.
Waddle.
Yeah.
These guys are not like that. So can LSU, kind of lock them down a little bit? And these 2 running backs that Alabama's got, Gibbs and McKellen, they look like 2 horses, but they didn't run the ball at all well against Mississippi State. So, and as you and I talked about yesterday, does LSU's performance in Tuscaloosa last year mean anything?
Yeah.
Different coaches, different schemes, whatever. But the fact that LSU went in there last year as a 30-point dog and almost won the game, should have won the game if they had any kind of offense, does that give LSU some confidence? I do not think Alabama will be overlooking LSU. This will be they will be locked in. They will be told how loud Tiger Stadium is going to be. They're going to be told it's a madhouse, and I think they're going to be very focused in this game.
LSU beat up Bryce Young in this game last year. I mean, that was the first time you had seen Bryce Young kind of look and seem confused at times and also take some shots. Last year, LSU's defense was teeing off on him at times. Jacques, you've covered all of these. You've even covered, dating back to when Saban was leading LSU and beat Alabama for the first time in Tiger Stadium in something like 30 years back in 2002. What stands out is first, before we get there, is this a rivalry to you? I mean, is this a rivalry game?
I would say that it is the game every year that brings the most intensity from the LSU perspective. Alabama's got a rival in Auburn. LSU, the rival has changed over the years. In the early 2000s, I feel like it was Auburn for LSU. Then it kind of morphed into Florida during the Tim Tebow time. And then when Nick Saban became the Alabama head coach in 2007, that really got a lot of people emotional and charged up. I think that in the early days of Saban, 2007 till about 2012, through that, I felt like these 2 teams were on an equal level. LSU felt like they could exchange punches with Alabama, and they did for the most part, even in the games they did not win. And then around 15, 16, it started. Alabama kind of started taking over in terms of in the trenches, and Les Miles and company kind of started going on the downward trend. So I do think that it's the game that LSU fans want to win more than any other. That is clear. And there's a saying, facts don't care about your feelings, and I hate to say it, but LSU has beaten Alabama once since they left Bryant-Denny Stadium after the game of the century, and Drew Alamo kicked the field goal, and LSU won 9-6. LSU's beaten Alabama one time, and it took the greatest team of all time to do it in 2019, 46-41. So from Alabama's perspective, they got to look at it and say, you guys are in a rivalry. But I think Alabama obviously knows that LSU has been the biggest threat to them in the SEC West. But it's interesting now, so much power shift to the East. Now you got Georgia and Tennessee coming up strong in the East. So, maybe their perspective is maybe they're worried more about Tennessee, obviously, who just beat them.
Were you in Dequano and Tuscaloosa in 01 when Rohan and Josh Reed shredded Bama?
Darren was there. I was not at that game, and I was there in 2007 moving on.
Yeah.
But certainly I remember the 2001 LSU team. I remember Nick Saban and the fans saying, we're paying this guy $1.2 million a year, and his secondary is terrible. If you remember, Kelly Washington in Tennessee roasted
absolutely.
LSU.
Demetrius Hookfin.
Yeah, that rough night. I think he had 14 catches or something. And then Steve Spurrier smoked Nick Saban twice.
He did.
At the beginning of his career, at Saban's career at LSU. 2001, Rex Grossman, I think, threw 5 touchdowns at 51-21 in Tiger Stadium. Jabbar Gaffney, a 2:30 CBS game on a gray afternoon. It was just awful.
Beautiful, yeah.
And then, so I remember Ole Miss, Eli Manning and company beat LSU in Tiger Stadium. I think they blocked a punt, and LSU's offense was too conservative. And the next week, that's when they went to Tuscaloosa and said, hey, let's just air this thing out, and did for 528. Josh Reed caught 291 of the 528.
And had a 60-yarder called back. If you remember the halftime interview the week before, Saban threw Jimbo under the bus. I don't know what's going on with our offensive coordinator. He won't call any. We're being very conservative on all. Just threw him completely under the bus.
I remember the UAB game, the UAB disaster
yeah.
in 2000 when sorry, Josh, but Josh Booty threw that pick at the end of regulation. And Nick Saban said, well, our quarterback called a play that wasn't a play, never was a play, never will be a play. And UAB kicked a field goal there at the end, 13-10.
But I was going to get to you. What moments stand out covering these games over the years? There's been so many high moments and so many crushing moments as well.
2007, LSU was so much better than Alabama. So much better as far as talent. And somehow LSU, and they managed to keep Alabama in the game, John Parker Wilson and all that. And I believe Nick Saban said something like, I knew who the ball was going to. Why didn't my defense know? And that was Early Doucet on the
fourth down.
The crosser, the quick post. I think it was a 4th and 4, and then Hester scores a touchdown after Chad Jones made the play. 2010, I thought, was one of Les Miles' finest hours. LSU was not expected to beat Alabama in Tiger Stadium, and the Mad Hatter pulled out. River left. Remember, Greg Stadral was the offensive coordinator. D'Angelo Peterson, big D'Angelo Peterson, number 19, on the tight end reverse, goes down, and Reuben Randall from Jordan Jefferson across the middle. Long touchdown, catch and run. 2011, standing right there on the field, Michael Ford in overtime. Just cut it inside, man. Just cut it inside the pylon, and you score a touchdown. He stepped out of bounds, kicked the field goal. They won the game. I was at the national championship. That was a brutal, brutal affair, and I just can't understand when you got 40 days to get ready for a game. That's what you roll out there in one of the biggest games of your life. Just rough. And over the years, certainly the heartbreakers, back-to-back heartbreakers in Tiger Stadium in 12 and 14. And this is kind of the same thing when you talk about a guy like Harold Perkins, who's got talent. But this is what coaches fear. In 2012, Jalen Mills decides to go after the quarterback, and that's not what he was supposed to do. And then they drop it off to A.J. McCarron, hits Yeldon in the flat. Yep, for the screen pass and the touchdown. And so that's what you're scared about, younger players. And then 2014, Jordy, you know how ESPN does the winning percentage. when Kendall Beckwith recovers the fumble at the Alabama 5-yard line with less than a minute left, LSU's winning percentage at that point had to be like 95% or something. You're at the 5-yard line in a tie game. Yeldon just hands you the ball on a silver platter. Badal Alexander gets hit with the personal foul. They get backed up. They kick a field goal, and somehow LSU allows Blake Sims and company with no timeouts to go the length of the field, kick a field goal, go to overtime, and lose. I mean, those games they're just wretched, thinking back on them. So those are and 2019 being there for that was finally, LSU just kicked their butt. It was 33-13 at the half, and it should have been 40-13 in the third quarter. LSU was marching again, and then Burrow got hit from behind and fumbled. But it's just really hard to beat those guys, Jordy. The thing about Saban is he loses so very little that the losses are so memorable. It's like the kick six against Auburn. LSU's greatest team has to beat him. Those kind of things.
Tennessee's greatest team in the last 25 years.
Right. A field goal gets tipped at the line and barely makes it over the crossbar to beat Alabama. Those are the kind of things that happen. I know Clemson whipped them in the 2018 national championship. I think it was 40-18. But you never really beat Alabama. You just get by if you do have more points.
I still remember Dan Bournet in 2014 telling the fans to stay off the field with like 45 seconds left, and I remember thinking,
oh no.
Uh-oh.
I remember Les Miles. Les Miles was not a guy that got angry very often. But I remember at his Monday presser, I think he got a little angry. He kind of said, can't we make that announcement a little bit later? Why do we have to say that? Because he heard it. He heard about it,
Yeah, right.
And so, then LSU, they kicked the ball out of bounds.
Cameron Gamble.
God, that's the best.
Brutal.
That's the noise. It really is.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
But now for the first, and look, I don't want to take shot. I'm not taking shots. I'm more to say of Kelly. For the first time since Saban's left here, it feels like you're actually on even playing ground on the sidelines in this matchup. I mean, a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's been a lot of fake field goals and onside kicks for LSU in this series, right? I mean, it feels like now you can line up and scheme them.
Yeah, Les Miles was not a big-name coach when he came to LSU. Ed Ogeron was a big personality and certainly, has had a fantastic career in many aspects. But they did not have the reputation. I mean, Brian Kelly had a much better reputation than Nick Saban when Saban came to LSU. So, Brian Kelly is one of the most recognizable coaches in the country, and I think that is what makes this game really intriguing to an extent. Now, maybe down the road in 2 or 3 years, Kelly might tell us, I knew that we probably didn't have the horses to win this game, or maybe he'll tell us, I felt like that we were peaking at the right time, and we did come through. It'll be a fantastic game to watch Jaden Daniels play in this game because he is the kind of quarterback that gives Alabama problems. I'm not breaking any news there. I love Danny Etling. I love a lot of the quarterbacks I've covered over the years, but the drop back passer, Mettenberger, these guys, I guess perhaps could have beaten Alabama with a few more plays, but it's the guy that can break out of the pocket and run for 20 yards when Nick Saban's got the play totally diagnosed. That just drives him nuts. And I think that Daniels could give LSU a chance in this game. That can Tiger Stadium impact the game? It's interesting. I interviewed Jacob Phillips, linebacker from even the 2019 team, and I asked him one time, what was the best atmosphere you ever played in? And I expected him to say the 2019 Florida game. He said the 2018 Alabama game, which, Tiger Stadium was on fire that night. Jordy, after that game, I promised myself never to get caught up in the hype again. I think LSU had Navy SEALs come in. They had all these motivational videos. When Coach O came down the hill and was pumping his fist like a professional wrestler, I drank the Kool-Aid. I said, today's the day. It's a beautiful day. Today's the day. And then the game started between the white lines, and Alabama won 29-0. So all that outside stuff has nothing to do with the game to an extent. But I do think that the Tiger Stadium crowd can impact the game. And this will be – everything's going to line up for the crowd to be peak Tiger Stadium. Does it make a difference? We'll see.
What do you make of that Tennessee-Georgia game?
Interesting that Georgia's an 8-point favorite in the game. I think that's just a compliment to Kirby Smart and what he's accomplished there and what he's built at Georgia. They're obviously a juggernaut. Tennessee being on the road, if they were playing at home, maybe it's more of an equal contest. But certainly, I think that if you're a college football fan and you've got Tennessee and Georgia playing leading into Alabama and LSU, this is what you think about during the summer as far as college football and the essence of college football and stadiums and huge crowds and tailgating and college campuses and all those things that, I love pro football and I love covering it. I love going to Superdome to cover games at noon on Sunday. But there's never really a pro game that you can say, at least in my opinion, man, I'm really looking forward to that game more than I'm looking forward to Tennessee playing Alabama. Or, Tennessee playing Georgia or LSU playing Alabama. There's just something about college football that, in my opinion, makes it the best sport to cover.
Jacques, have a great day. It's good to catch up with you as always, man.
Thanks for having me on, man. We'll talk some more this week.
Absolutely. There he is, Jacques Doucet from WAFB. You can catch him on the desk. You can find him on Twitter at Jacques Doucet to keep up with the latest, as he's got a lot of content coming out here with Alabama in town on Saturday. That conversation brought to you by Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Get in touch with our friends over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works by calling them this morning. 776-2431. 776-2431 is the phone number to get in touch with Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Number one and the number two business. They can help you out whether you are needing something done around the office or around the house. Get in touch with Barker Brothers. Call them today. If you mention the show, you save 15%. With our friends over at Barker Brothers. 225-776-2431. Tell Jude and the crew that you heard it right here on the Culotta Show to save yourself 15% on that bottom line. Get in touch with me today, Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. All right, we'll be back. Hour 2, Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. Stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, One in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
In that game. You're listening to the Jordy Culotta Show live on YouTube. Catch it every day, 7 to 9 a.m., wherever you have internet access.
Oh, my guy. The host of Mac and Cube.
You said you wanted me to close it out.
I listen to his pod every day on WJOX 94. I thought I was going to beat Charlie. I didn't. You were fantastic as always. Have a great call in Missouri. I'll see you soon, man.
Thanks, man. Good
Later.
talking to you, Jordy.
Always. There he is. Cole Kublik, the absolute best. Don't overthink it, ABC. When you move to a primetime slot and the SEC is getting that billing, make this man the color commentator. He's the absolute best.
Well, what a pro.
What a pro.
I remember telling them, hey, listen, my job here is to make sure that we bring, big-time football to a small-town environment, right? And so you see on movies sometimes about the way a town reacts to the football program and what it means to everybody. And that was the hopes and dreams that I had for the place. And so our kids take a distinct responsibility in wearing that Z on their helmet. It means a lot to them. And then on the flip side of that, our community does a tremendous job of supporting our program, supporting the athletic department, supporting our school as a whole. And there's really a great relationship there that's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Thank you for the access, man. Looking forward to tonight. We'll talk soon.
Coach, wait, before you go, fix your hair again one more time.
Look at him.
Let's go here.
Look at him.
What do you think about that?
Game day,
what do you
baby.
think about that?
Game day. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Great to see you. Thank you.
You too, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. There he is. There he is. My guy. David Brewerton checking in. What does Harold Perkins do for this defense? What does he allow you guys to do?
Yeah, Perk, man, he's just so raw. Man. Like, all he know how to do is make a play. But I love him. He brings a certain type of juice to the defense. And he's right alongside of me on the edge. He knows how to rush the edge. As a young guy, that's very valuable to the defense, being able to rush the edge, making the quarterback step up. But yeah, they put him everywhere, middle linebacker, outside rusher, maybe sometimes he's going to be in the drop. So he's very versatile for our defense.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Kyle Caskey for Caskey's Clicker will be here at 8:30 this morning. We'll start to take a deep dive into LSU and Alabama and start to take a look at Alabama's offense. Brian Kelly was speaking with the media yesterday. Yeah, these cuts, Stewie, where he was speaking of this week and the matchup versus Alabama. Obviously, he mentioned Nick Saban, and here was Kelly talking a little bit about the opposing coach.
It's Nick Saban's birthday, so I want to wish him a happy birthday to start this off, and maybe that'll soften things up a little bit. But you can always start a press conference by throwing a little happy birthday wish out to your opposing coach.
It's tough to get through that one. I think he was kind of like thinking like, I wanted this to be funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I wanted this to kind of be.
This isn't landing the way I hoped
it
would.
Now
I can't get out of here.
Yeah, right. Like, I want to make sure and not piss him off on my way out. Bryce Young is the reigning Stewie, number 3 here. Here is Kelly talking about the Heisman Trophy. winning
starts
quarterback.
with Bryce Young. The Heisman Trophy winner is a playmaker. When it comes to making plays on the field, you just put on the film and you watch him. It's pretty amazing, some of the plays that he makes. And he's a quarterback. He's a quarterback that is talented. He's not making it up, but he is improvising and making plays, and he's elite. That's all I can say. It's pretty terrific player. And
is he depressed?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought he's distracted. It seems more distracted, right?
Yeah.
Got a lot on his plate.
Something's up. Here he is talking about Bama's defense.
Go to number 5 and see if we get any energy from old BK.
Defense, you start with Anderson, who's, an elite defensive player, elite in terms of not only his ability to rush the passer, but what they ask him to do. He's an unselfish player. He plays a 4 technique. He plays a 5. He stands up. He does a little bit of everything. He does a lot of different jobs. That's why he's going to be a great NFL player as well. But on the other side, Turner playing into the boundary is an outstanding football player. So you can't just say, hey, we're going to fan and we're going to slide to one side. You've got problems on both sides. When you talk about both of these ends, massive inside. Oates and Dale, and they roll so many guys at you. Smith, Young. I mean, it's deep and talented inside. The 2 inside backers, outstanding players. And again, I think you talk about in their entirety, the defensive structure is sound and fundamental, and they just do a really good job of coaching. So this is a well-coached football team with elite talent that knows how to win and has played at this level consistently for year in and year out.
I mean, really, outside of messages that you may have for players, because I think that Brian Kelly and Nick Saban and amongst other coaches speak to their team and to players in the media. I think we've seen Kelly do it, dating back to the fall camp and even in spring practice. Saban has said so much if he has talked about the way that he handles and deals with the media and the way that he kind of uses the platform to benefit him is getting messages to his team, his players, his coaches, whoever it may be around the organization. And I think Kelly takes that point of view, but all in all, always the golden rule, I think, for any, public figure who is representing college football, they're so protected by nature. And we talked about this with Kelly when he was just opening up practices, right? In the middle of, fall camp and throughout fall camp, it was such a different feel. I mean, you had people like kind of walking around, like looking around, like waiting to get, like told to leave or put your camera down or you can't shoot this period. I mean, whatever it may be, because that's just the way of the world within college football. And press conferences within the season, specifically ones that, all of these guys are contractually tied that they have to show up and do, right? Like all of them, there's a reason why every Monday and Tuesday you get all these press clippings because, contractually they have to show up and tell the press about the updates of the team. So, 95 to 99% of these guys would never want to show up for these press conferences because they don't want to tell you anything. They're not trying to tell you anything. They're not trying to say anything that sticks. That's why I think that he was backpedaling on that birthday, because it's easy for some videographer in the Alabama, video room to make that some type of bait for Bama to bite on this week that, Kelly was really trying to kind of be loose. He was trying to be like, hey, it's happy birthday, Nick Saban. When everybody's like, doesn't laugh. You know, he was thinking probably this is going to be funny, to be light. You know, but as you saw him, like,
I think you said. Like, do you think that's kind of him realizing like the gravity of what LSU Alabama is right there, where he's like, oh, maybe I could, because we did last week. It was my birthday. We did a little, you know, let me go in with a little bit of a barb about birthdays, you know, whatever.
I think,
and then everybody's like, no, it's LSU Alabama week.
Yeah, and I think that's who he is. I think he is. Hey, man, I love big game environments. Let's tee this thing up. Let's play. I think that's the vibe I get from him. At least is that this is why he's here. You know, I mean, this is the reason why he ultimately took the job, is because he knew the best, the elite, the top 1% of college football coaches reside in this conference. And if you are who you say you are, or at least who you think you are, well, then come get it done in this league. And to get it done in this league, you got to win on Saturday. And you got to be able to compete on Saturday. And you got to be able to compete 365 days a year on this game. You got to be able to, recruit at a higher level, recruit as high of a level. You got to get guys that are down to LSU, Bama. You know, you got to be able to get you got to be able to catch up by winning the entire year. And to be competitive on Saturday could go a long, long way to the messages that are being pitched inside living rooms and on official visits. And, I think LSU's got a great opportunity to, kind of launch themselves into another level under Brian Kelly that was probably a little quicker than everyone anticipated.
Absolutely. But do you think that their history has anything to, I mean, I'm not really judging him based off his energy in the presser, but do you think that Brian Kelly kind of has an underlying of, man, the last two times I've teed it off against Saban, it has not been very fun for me.
Well, I think
totally different team.
Yeah, but I think realistically, he knew even in watching film. I mean, if you watch that 2012-2013 national championship game, the first drive of the game, you were like, "This is going to be brutal.
It's about to get ugly.
This is about to be ugly." I mean, was it Eddie Lacy?
Mm-hmm.
That was just. I mean, he was killing cats. I mean, and the first person that was making contact with him was the safety. I mean, like they just couldn't. I mean, there's no way that Brian Kelly got to the field and was like, "Oh, this is a mismatch." He was probably watching film thinking, "Good Lord."
Well, that's a little bit of what it sounds like right now. Like whenever he's talking about the Alabama defense,
I don't
and
know
it's
how
like, I mean,
far off.
Me either, but this doesn't instill any confidence in me.
I mean, think about the matchup or the buildup of this game. It's always about the players. It's always about the guys, about Leonard Fournette, about Derrick Henry, about Tua Tagovailoa, about Joe Burrow, about Jamar Chase, about Jerry Jeudy, about Diggs.
It's a combine.
I mean, it goes on for days. This game, outside of Bryce Young, Will Anderson, Kayshon Boutte, B.J. Ojulari,
Jahmyr Gibbs,
who you really, you know what I mean? Like, it's not as deep of a game on both sides. Alabama's roster is better than LSU's is right now. But for someone to look at LSU's roster January 4th when they pulled out of the Texas Bowl and see the one that they're taking to Tuscaloosa, which feels like it's back to as close of prime health as they've been since the beginning of the season. He mentioned yesterday Major Burns is going to be cleared to go, which, I think that makes an impact on the game. That'll have an emphasis on the game. There was some speculation on whether or not John Emery was going to be back around and practicing this week, but I feel very secure with what they have at the running back spot right now going into Saturday, with or without John Emery, with Josh Williams obviously and Armani Goodwin back after a couple of weeks being back from a hamstring. But these rosters, always are compared and looked at as the big draw for the game. And while it's not Alabama's best roster that, they've rolled out in this game onto the field, I don't think that it's LSU, it's not nearly LSU's best roster either. So, there are places even, Kelly said yesterday, he recognized they're going to have to dive back into the transfer portal on some positions because, as much as they want to, and it will be built on freshmen and incoming recruiting classes, you still need to go find some upperclassmen and some experience in certain spots that you can plug and play, that you can bring in and play immediately. But, I don't think the rosters are as far off holistically than, we might have even thought of a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. SEC Media Day, I was looking at this game thinking, this is going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be just a bad experience for this team. But now the closer you get without, having this overriding confidence, you got to be realistic about the game, but it just feels like Jane Daniels is kind of the quarterback, that gives Saban trouble, right? Now, he's got 2 weeks to devise a plan for him, and like I said yesterday, I'll be interested to see on what Golding and Saban say is the best way to play him. But if they can keep up, which I believe Alabama showed you against Tennessee, they can score. So if they
can play either way you want to play
if they get into a track meet, they can play that way. And I feel like LSU can keep up. I feel like they can score with Alabama's offense. I'm confident in thinking that they can't guard them on the outside. Now, there is some mismatches from
obviously
the offensive line.
The defensive
LSU's
line. That's what
offensive
it seems
line.
like he's the most concerned about.
Sure, right. But
Because
they've made great adjustments over the last 2 weeks or last 2 games to really bolster their offensive line. I think, more or less feed to the confidence of the offensive line rather than expose them. Be easy to expose them in games like Saturday coming up just because the talent discrepancy on the line of scrimmage. But there's also scheme that you can cover that up with.
I would think it's more of not so much talent discrepancy, but experience discrepancy whenever he's rolling out that defensive line. And if you're Brian Kelly, you're like, I got a true freshman left tackle, a true freshman right tackle. Kind of, I feel like they might I don't want to set them up to fail almost. Like, I'm trying to kind of put a narrative out there that, look, this defensive line is good, so don't, there's going to be some times when they get pressure, obviously. Brian Kelly's delivering a message. It's just, I would hope that it would be a little bit more positive instead of him kind of scratching his head, being like, they're massive. He's got these guys, Will Anderson's a top-tier pick. We know all of that stuff. But for him, you would think it would be a little bit more of, let's go bring the game to them. Because you have to dictate, right? If you're playing at home at night in Tiger Stadium, you'd hope to dictate the pace. And I think there's a cut that we have where he kind of talks a little bit about we can't start the way we have been. We have to be able to get to kind of bring the fight to Alabama a little bit, which is what you would hope would happen. But, you can see his energy in the presser. He just seems exhausted.
This is why I call this a rivalry. Look at what we're doing. We're, breaking down, how he said happy birthday to Nick Saban. Nick Saban's not doing this. That's this whole week is everyone freaking the hell out about this game and reading
every
into
school
everything.
does that.
I know, but
y'all will be doing that next week. With
but
Alabama.
Come on.
No, who do y'all play? Y'all play Georgia next week.
We already played Alabama,
Yeah.
Jordy. Come on.
But whoever plays Alabama next week will be doing the same
thing.
Yeah,
Maybe, but
they don't
still,
want to feed into
here.
it.
It's different here.
I think it's different because you get Alabama's focus. Alabama knows week in, week out that they're the biggest game on everybody's schedule.
But are they that worried about LSU?
I don't think that they're worried, but I think they know that they're walking into an environment that they can't control.
Mm-hmm.
They're walking into a team that's playing really confident. And Saban knows. His comments have told you so. He knows Brian Kelly is going to have them ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that Saban is confident to the fact that he's got the better players.
Yeah.
Saban has the better players, so he knows that he can have more opportunities to make plays to win the game. But like I said, while there's big gaps in certain places, right? The rosters don't feel as divided as they once did. Alabama still has an advantage, and Alabama's still 2 recruiting classes, it feels like, ahead of LSU. But LSU's done a phenomenal job of putting guys in from the portal and getting things early from some true freshmen that have put them in a place where, this roster is competitive against a top 3, top 4, top 5 team in the country like Alabama coming into town on Saturday night, and you'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find out. I feel I feel like they'll have a chance in the second half, in the fourth quarter, to win the game. And that's all I think you can ask for.
Well, and don't you think it's not only that you get, like, obviously LSU turns this into a massive game like you're talking about, but it always feels like Nick Saban, no matter how good or bad LSU is, he has this one circled in his mind just because of how it's been portrayed. Like, you can't erase what happened whenever he came into, was it 2008, when he came back to LSU for the first time? That place was full of vitriol. Like, it wasn't, this is a rivalry. It's like, I hate you. Like, it felt, LSU fans were like, and Nick Saban felt things like, oh my God, this is, like, I'm uncomfortable here. But now he's turned it into, I want to beat them more than anything, even though I feel like he still likes LSU and he doesn't like the way, like, if you had revisionist history and he could go back, he'd probably like, I wish I'd never left.
Sure.
But now they hate me. And he's like, well, fine, we can play this. Like, if you roll around the mud, I can get dirtier than anybody.
I moved here that year in 2008, and I remember driving down 12, and there was a billboard of flames with Nick's head in the middle of it, and it was like, "Welcome home, Nick." I almost like ran off the road. I was like, "What the hell are they doing?"
There was one in West Baton Rouge coming right over the Mississippi Bridge. There was the same thing. I mean, it was
crazy.
It was wild, man. I mean, the hate that
it was bad hate.
Baton Rouge and LSU, and they almost won the game. LSU almost won that game against a team that went on to win the national championship for Saban. But I don't know if the hate's still there.
Not like that.
No,
definitely not.
Like
It's definitely not like that. But I think that even like overridingly, that people understand that the golden age of LSU football, which feels like, you're kind of like falling back into the last 2 years, feels like you kind of dipped out of it. But I mean, the 20-year run from 2000 to 2020, I mean, you don't see it or experience it without Saban. I mean, he was the one that came in here and really kind of laid down the blueprint of, hey, you want to be competitive? You want to be thought of as a national player in college football? This is what you have to do. You have to build facilities. You have to spend money on personnel. You have to develop resources and programs that, you can attract young people with around academics, around lifestyle, around, leadership, around support. And, facilities started to pop up. LSU started to spend money. I mean, LSU was habitually known, like they had a reputation within college athletics that they didn't pay anybody. Like they had this big, shining, opportunity in a great, wealth-loaded state of talent. But, it's not worth it. I'll just, coaches were saying, I'll just stay wherever I'm at and, I'd love to go down there, but they're not paying fair market value. And it took Mark Emmert coming in here in 1999 and was like, look, if you believe in athletics and you believe in sports, then we're going to have to pay somebody. And Jimmy Sexton and Nick Saban, got $1.2 million from LSU in 2000, and it was unheard of. Steve Spurrier and Bobby Bowden, I believe, were the only $2 million coaches in college football at that time, and they were making like 1.2 and 1.5. I mean, it wasn't as if they were making a ton of money, but they came in and paid Saban $1.2 million at that point, and 3 years later, you were national champs, and that really kind of kicked the door down for LSU and understanding that, wow, I mean, that 2003 team was built with nothing really but Louisiana guys. I mean, the majority of it were right here out of the state. And, a lot of LSU was winning those wars because of programs and recruiting departments and personnel and people that were put in place that were, showing kids from Louisiana, it's okay to go to LSU now. I mean, it's all good. They'll get you to the league. And I mean, it's I think that hate, that just passionate, furied hate,
like the hate I have for Ole Miss.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, you could see it in the chat. Everybody's
they hate.
I hate Alabama.
They hate.
Like they hate, and it's almost like a.
You hate Bama. Do you hate Saban?
I think you hate Bama because of Saban.
Yeah.
Because everything that it's tangentially tied to each other. You look at Alabama and you're like, that should be LSU.
Yeah, exactly.
If he just would have never left, then LSU has.
I mean, y'all didn't
8
hate
national
Bama
championships
before this, right? Like this bad?
What's that?
Y'all didn't hate Bama before
Hell
Saban
no.
went there like this.
I mean,
No one did, I feel like.
Well, you just didn't pay
Even
attention
think about
to
them.
it like you do now. You know what I mean? But I mean, you're right. I mean, I get it. It's just, it's the mountain you can't get over.
It's frustrating.
I mean, it has been, and knowing that it could be, or what could have been with him is.
It's like a X.
No, it's frustrating.
But it's the mountain no one can get over. It's not just LSU. It's
the
the thing. LSU just makes a bigger deal out
the
of it.
LSU mountain that they have to climb, it cuts so much deeper.
We got to drive that car.
He's the
and
guy.
Now he
Yeah,
to
right.
the
We
end.
used to be
It's
climbing it with him.
Yeah. Like,
now they're just stuck up there on the top of the mountain.
Absolutely.
Keep kicking me down.
Yeah, right. We got to climb with this hat.
Yeah.
Roll Tide what?
Right.
Talk to his daddy.
Talk to his daddy.
And I still think that there are times when Saban looks at these Alabama fans and is like, these crazy.
Got to.
Creeps.
Just mouth breathing.
Stuck a finger in my booty hole.
He's from here, so it's not that different.
Yeah, but I mean, it's different.
It's Alabama, but it's not super.
If you remember,
different
he got caught
from an outsider
right when
looking
he
in.
got the job. Somebody kept a tape rolling on him on an interview.
Oh, that guy's
and
dead.
he was telling a story about how Louisiana reacted to when he got the job. If you can find it, it's out there. And it's like he's like talking like a coon ass.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like making a joke to how like the coon ass would have been like, I'd have rather letting Saban sleep with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or something of that tone. Like Saban was telling it, knowing, and then at the end of it, he says something to the effect of, they're really good people over there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're really good people. You could tell, and even like his last year and a half here, people would say, like, he loves it here.
Yeah.
You know, like, he loves what he's built and what could be. Because, I mean, that 2005, 2006 team, the two teams that he left behind, the 07 team won the Natty.
06
and
was better.
A lot of those guys were Saban guys. But the 05 and 06 roster are 2011-ish and 2019-ish. I mean, it is freaky how many dudes they had on that 05, 06. I mean, that was like Glenn Dorsey's like sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they were low. Kyle Williams. I mean, they were loaded. And you know, I mean, all of that was Saban. Caskey's here. We will break down Alabama's offense, Bryce Young and the crew. We will see what the plan that Matt House and LSU football have devised for Alabama coming up on Saturday when we hear it next from Caskey's Clicker, coming up next year on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Southern Eye Center is located at 6859 Jefferson Highway right here in Baton Rouge, has been serving your eyes for over 40 years in the capital region. They offer friendly service in a helpful environment with the highest level of personal care to manage your eye health and vision needs. You want more information? Log online to southerneyecenters.com. That is southerneyecenters.com. Stop in and check out their beautiful office located on Jefferson Highway right here in the capital city. And remember, each time you walk in there and you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, Dr. Ann Shaw and Southern Eye Centers will take 25% off of their fantastic selection of sunglasses. All you got to do is mention the Jordy Culotta Show. Check them out. southerneyecenters.com and located at 6859 Jefferson Highway.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors.
Miles Frazier.
Kyron Lacy.
Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
Hey, Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com. Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Ghost Chevrolet, live here on this Tuesday. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button for us if you don't mind. Coming at you here with Caskey's Clicker, the latest edition, as Coach will dive into a little midseason LSU review, and then we'll give it to him for the extended cut starting around 9 a.m. when he'll dive into Alabama. He's got a lot to look at on Alabama's offense and Bryce Young. But, Coach, LSU, take it away.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back and take a look at what we've been kind of seeing throughout, the first half of the season, if you want to call it. We're starting with the offense. Wait for my good. Okay, there we go. All right, so just starting with the offense. Going back and talking about these running backs and what these running backs have been able to do for this team, and it's kind of like we all thought, man, it's going to be John Emery or Noah Cain. But if you go back and you watch Armani Goodwin, I mean, this kid, or this is Mississippi State, and I mean, this kid, he got hurt, and I think it really hurt the team a little bit when he was out. But I mean, this kid right here is these are simple plays that these guys are running here, and there's nothing to it. But the fact that they've got the entire team sitting here just waiting to tackle him, and the little guy just ends up pulling those knees through. And if anybody's met Armani Goodwin in person, he is a very, very strong lower body. He's one of those guys that, he can pull through all this kind of stuff. So then you talk about Josh Williams. I heard I was listening to Jacques a little while ago, and I think he said if you would have told him he'd be the lead guy at this point in the season, wouldn't have believed him. But you're talking about here's Josh Williams against Florida. He should be hemmed up, right? Mm-hmm. Should be hemmed up, but. I mean, this guy pulls through, and again, you can see the same thing. Watch the leg drive. I'm gonna pause it right here. Now, watch the leg drive when he gets right around this area right here. When he pulls through, and then that to me is not coincidence that he's doing that. That's actual skill. So I mean, you're talking about a kid who's made the most of every opportunity this kid that he's been given so far, And then obviously John Emery, I'm not sure. Did we ever figure out what he did? Achilles. Is he
strained his Achilles on the opening kickoff?
What did
he said that
did
they
Kelly
were
say anything?
Day to day,
waiting on a report for him.
I think Jamar Chase is day to day too. So
broken up.
But right here, this is pretty unbelievable what he did on this run. Again, this is versus Auburn, so it's not like these are. I mean, Auburn. Yeah, I say they're not chumps, but they're SEC football, and you got a guy should have tackled him right here, and pulls out of it, and then ends up just beasting his way into the end zone, and it just there's a lot of good things happening with the running back room, and they just need to keep building on it. And Josh Williams thing I think is great because I was around the kid and I really enjoyed being around the person that's Josh Williams, and I think it's good for somebody. It shows a lot of other guys on that team that if you're a walk on, you still got a shot. You just got to keep pushing. Now we talk about Josh Williams and protection, so I believe he's going to come across over here on this one. So we're talking about the stuff that they're getting better at, and here he comes across, and that's perfect spot there. I mean, it allows Jaden Daniels to get the ball off, and again, that's New Mexico. You would hope he'd still be able to throw a slant, but it's just the point of the protection, point of him knowing what he's doing, things like that. And then if you go, we talked about this early on. This is New Mexico game. This is when this all started to show up. This is that little Patriot route we were talking about with Jack Besh. Now, hopefully he's he's healthy too and can get back out there. But you're talking about using players like this. And it doesn't have to be Jack Besh on this play, but these kind of routes where you just get them here and get them in space, that's what they've started doing. And I think there was a lot of talk early in the season about get the ball to your players, and they've been starting to do that. Now I'm going to go back, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I wanted to show a few things from early in the season. These are some bad things that we saw Jaden Daniels doing. So, it's third down. You got an easy throw here, and certain things start getting better. So as you see here, I mean, that to me is for LSU should be completed every time. Is that on the tight end? Is that on the quarterback? Maybe on both. But go to the Tennessee game, which was obviously I think people are trying to forget about. But the protection is great on this play. Watch the protection on this play. That's unbelievable protection. But he doesn't throw the ball. And this is the one, if you remember.
Is that Kayshawn?
This is the one. If you remember, he was coming. He was coming across and coming free, and he didn't let it go. And we kept saying, "Hey, you got to let it go. You got to let it go," and started to see it later. All right. So this is also the Tennessee game. This was they ran this blitz where they brought some guys up the middle. Watch how far. I'm sorry. Oh, look at that. That's me. That's my finger.
Is that your finger?
No, it was my finger. Here we go. Here's what I'm trying to get to. See that's right there. See, that's how you know I'm real about what I do right there. That's proof right there. This isn't some producer behind the scenes. That's real. That was my finger. All right. So, yeah, all right. But I want you to watch this throw right here. Yeah. He makes that throw to the sideline under pressure that's exactly what this kid is doing now. And that was in the same game. So you could see progression. Now, if you get to the Ole Miss game on this next one, and here's another look at it right here. I mean, that's a great job by Neighbors coming back to it as well. If you go to the Ole Miss game, and we're talking about eyes downfield, so he drops back. Again, that looks exactly like the protection you just got. And you also got a chip from Josh Williams right here. Eyes downfield, eyes downfield, eyes downfield. Okay, I'm going to drop it off to my check down, and it's a 10-yard, 12-yard play. It's simple. He's getting better at it. And then if you look at the Florida game, again, eyes downfield, great protection, which you guys, one of the things I don't have really cut-ups of, but you're kind of watching it right now. Those two tackles playing, and really Charles Turner in the middle, and all the different moving parts at guard, but those guys have come together. You could see a different group that's in there right now. But look at the time he has. I mean, that's a ton of time, and he still finds Kayshawn down the field. I think we all remember that play being a big play and saying, finally he threw the ball. And that's where he's getting better. If you look right here, again, you would love to see this ball be thrown over the top and make this just an easy touchdown. But it was an underthrown ball. but you can tell the receivers have been taught now. You can see it. It's because it's happening. It's happening more and more where they're playing back into these DBs, and that's progression. So when we're talking about are they being coached well throughout the season, you're starting to see the coaching come out a little bit more as of late, because there's certain things that are happening. Again, you would love to see that ball thrown a little bit farther. And then this last one, this is that fade ball to Brian Thomas. This is as good as it gets right here, honestly, because you put that ball a little bit short of him again, but let the big guy go get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so. Offensively, you've seen a lot of progressions. Now, I'm gonna kick out for a second here.
Well, I wanted to ask you real quick. Whenever you talk, obviously, I feel like a lot of this has been good coaching. You talk about what Armani Goodwin's done, what Williams has done. Like, that's a change in the running back room with whenever you bring in Frank Wilson. You see the offensive line start to develop a little bit. You see that was obviously another coaching change. Yeah. But I think that the change at center has helped take a lot off of Jaden Daniels' plate. Like, if you go and watch the Florida State game, he is calling out every protection. He's adjusting the line, and then you make that switch at center to somebody. I think you even said it was like he has a little bit more feel of the game, and he was able to. It feels like take some of that off Jaden Daniels' plate and let him play a little bit more free.
Yeah. So Charles Turner's the kind of player that he can play quarterback playing center, if that makes sense. So like when he gets down in his stance, he's the kind of guy that he can look and he may have to look back at Jaden and go, hey, no, that's not the right point. Here's what we're doing. Or it could be one of those things where they're making like an audible, or the coaches change, those look over plays where the coaches change a play and they say, he goes up to the line, says what he needs to say, and then Jaden Daniels can go back and point at the receivers or look at the coverages, and Charles Turner can just handle the rest.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's made him good there. Looking at the defense now, as we kick over here, one of the things I believe, I'm not going to let this play the whole way, because I don't want to, bring up bad memories. But if you talk about tackling issues, we talked about tackling, and again, I believe at least five different Tigers had a chance at him on this play, and you're talking about tackling issues right here. So when you're looking at what they've done, they've made a pretty conscious decision to, not let that happen again. And you've seen better tackling in the next few games. One of the things that they've got to make, especially against Alabama, because again, I think y'all have mentioned about Alabama not having those just stud receiver threats, and they still got good guys. Don't get me wrong, but they don't have that stud. So one of the things they've got to do, like against Ole Miss, when you jump in front of a pass like this, you have to make this play against Alabama. This is not a team. If they grant you that kind of access right there to pick it off, you have to get it picked off.
In the red zone.
In the red zone. You have to get this picked off against Alabama. Bryce Young is too good. So when these type of opportunities show up, they got to make these plays. And you're talking about making a play. Again, this was the very end of the Auburn game. This is making a play. I believe it's the same guy, isn't it?
Yep.
Same guy that just dropped that interception against Ole Miss. But look at the play he makes against this. I mean, he rips that ball, just straight rips it out of his hand, and game's over. That's where those are the kind of plays that have got to be made versus Alabama. You can't just assume that you're going to play just a normal, hey, we're going to hold them to a 3-and-out and punt. You're going to have to take the ball from Alabama. Looking at at the Ole Miss game and this interception in the end zone. Now remind me of my guy's name, 13.
Joe Fouché.
Fouché. God, I don't know why I can't remember this. Bobby Boucher, but with the name.
There you go. There you go. There's a little trick.
All right. If this is a receiver making this catch, I think we're all salivating over it. Like, man, look at this catch. I mean, that's your Odell Beckham type of stuff. So they got to make these type of plays. Looking at what they're doing, and I like some of the stuff that they're doing defensively with Matt House, and I think we're all impressed with it. But I want you to watch how deep this blitz comes from right here. This guy right here. Yeah. I mean, this guy's coming from. I mean, he started back in this area back here, and watch how fast he's going and just think.
Ooh. Same guy.
Same guy. So point being that not only are they making plays in the pass, getting the ball, but that ball, goes a different direction. That could be a scoop and score, and they still stuffed them there. But I like the things that Matt House is doing because he's bringing pressure when he needs to bring pressure. He's guys like Hendon Hooker when your star quarterback looks like that. Yeah. Because he's going to keep. Remember when we were talking about Harold Perkins and how he was hitting the quarterback, and all of a sudden the quarterback starts thinking about it. But all of a sudden a safety comes blitzing and just blasts you. You start thinking about it, and you can say what you want about, but that you're going to remember getting hit like that. So I think too bad at this point. Hey, there goes my finger again. All right, so 92. I believe y'all had him in here the other day, right?
Yep.
Mekhi Wingo. This kid's playing his ass off, and if you watch him, he's right here. He's got 2 linemen on him. He's going to shed and make the tackle. To me, that's where a lot of this defensive stuff starts up here at this level. And I mean, to have him come in with Mason Smith out and being able to do stuff like that, and that's Florida. That's not like it's a chump team right there. It's Florida, and you're throwing a guy around, and staying on the defensive line. I mean, obviously, we all know B.J. Ojulari is a player, but they've got to keep getting these guys involved and let them just play, because, again, this is the play we talked about on another level. You got a spy here in number 40, and watch him break on this ball. When this quarterback goes here, obviously the spy is going to spy him and go get him, but watch him take off. We're beating some dead animal right now.
Old fish.
Or fish. Yeah, I heard about the fish.
It's unfortunate for Kevin.
Poor Kevin. Now this is what you can do with number 40. You could put him in these situations, and look who's blocking him. You got a running back blocking him. So if you can find ways to isolate him on a back, I think you do it. And then the other thing, when you're talking about Perkins, and this here is again, it's New Mexico, I get it, but if you're going to cut a defensive lineman or a guy of Perkins' athletic ability, you have to get him down. And right here, you can kind of see his head starting to disappear, but watch, it's like a bobblehead right here. He just pops right back up. Ding. And you can't miss on a guy like that. And that's why I think a lot of teams, if you really go and look at what teams are doing to him now, they're getting. You can't miss him right there. They're getting more than one guy allocated over to 40 now.
And you really can't coach what he's doing, right? Like he's just a freak.
You can run drills for it, because we ran drills for everything, but not everybody can do. Yeah, not everybody can do it, and I think that's where you get into it. And then when you look at some of the stuff he's been doing, obviously he's a spy. I think this actually is something good for him. And if this is something they need to do versus Alabama, this is something that I think he's really good at, because obviously he's just hanging out. And if you're the quarterback, you know that. And again, they call this incomplete, but that to me is a forced fumble. And 40 gets put in a lot of. He's been lately. I know we were complaining about how many plays he was playing and all that, but they've been putting him in spots to be successful, and that's where they just got to continue to do it. And again, this is the other day, and I want to get into how he did this. Look how far up the field. There's the line of scrimmage. Look how far up the field he is before he decides to come back under. That right there, that's not something that just happens. That most people think, oh, we're running a game, I'm going to twist down here. No, he's pushing all the way up here and then coming underneath, and that allows those linemen. You can see those linemen; they can't pass it off. And
that's a good job by Wingo, huh? 92
correct.
Kind of holding. He's almost like he's almost holding offensively.
He's handling all these guys right here. He wants to take these two guys and consume them, so when he comes up the field and back under,
there's nobody left for him.
There's nobody left. So he's got him consumed. That's not holding. That's just an extension. Yeah. But you make a good point. That's what he's doing. He has consumed the lineman for Harold Perkins. And then the fact that Harold Perkins didn't fall down right there, I know I've mentioned that before.
Too athletic.
It's unbelievable what he does right there. Just the fact that he can run the hoop. He can run the hoop twice basically right there. And then here's another thing that's happening. You've got overload front up here. Here's Perkins. Now watch one. So you got 2 offensive linemen here and one guy named Harold Perkins. But watch when they set. You've got 2 guys on 40. Mm-hmm. Well, what does that leave you now? And this is the NFL thing of you put Aaron Donald over here by himself, but Von Miller, all these other outside linebackers that the Rams had last year, and on their Super Bowl run. Too. And you put Aaron Donald over here. Well, it takes 2 guys over here. Now all of a sudden, now you've got one-on-ones over here, and that's how you get hits on quarterbacks. And again, if you don't think that Dart's not thinking about this right now, I mean that's a double schnutty right there. So,
I didn't sign up for this. Pay extra for that.
Yeah. So I just and again I mean that's what I got here going into the Bama stuff as we get going. So it's up to you how you want to handle it. If you want to take a break and get back into it, or if you want to just I can just kind of flow.
Yeah, let's take a break and we'll reset, and when we come back, we will dive into Alabama discussion with Coach Caskey as he will break down the Tide here coming in Saturday night for a showdown between LSU and Alabama. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Dead Soxy. Get over to deadsoxy.com for great savings right now. You can save up to 25% with the promo code Jordy. Just log on to deadsoxy.com for great game day socks over at Dead Soxy. We'll come back with more Caskey's Clicker here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey, fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. Stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
Hey, Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
All right, welcome back. Caskey's Clicker here. I'm not Jordy Culotta, but I do want to thank him for giving up his chair for me.
Yeah, a little set change.
So what I'd like to do during this episode is take a look at Alabama. Since it's the bye week, it's not really those games to break down for LSU. We've already done it. Take a look at what makes Bama Bama. And one of the things that obviously they've been good at over the years is that offensive line and the run game and different things that they're doing. But what I wanted to look at is the different things that they're doing with the running backs and with the run game. So, again, this is brought to you by Citizens Bank and Trust. If we can get that up there at some point. Yeah, because they are very, very good to us here at Caskey's Clicker with the Telestrator. Number one, I want to talk about some of the things they're doing in the run game. Again, this is just an explosive run. This is versus Texas, so obviously, Texas is a good team, but they've struggled a little bit versus run. But this wide zone that they're running, and this is all this is wide zone. This is Jace McClellan. This is number 2, so this isn't the Jahmyr Gibbs. But this guy also has some juice to him, and one of the things that they've been doing so well is they're running this wide zone, and they're just trying to get everybody running and then cut off the backside, as you can see here. So they're trying to really push up to this guy, but he's going to run through like flat path through the quarterback until he can find a seam here, and then he cuts up. As you can see, he just ends up taking it all the way around. You get the corner out here, which is, as a running back coach, you always said that's your guy because you don't if it's a corner, you better not get tackled by a corner. So. That's why they're not real worried about him. But the fact that, they've got this other guy in McClellan who can also have a little juice to him is something that you can see the explosion that he has. So,
does he get kind of lost in the wash just because of how good Gibbs has been and how often he touches, how frequently they use him? I
think so. And they got another guy I'm gonna get into in a minute, Roydell Williams too, and they've got 3 guys back there that are just as capable. I like what they're doing here. They've got Jahmyr Gibbs going to run a bubble here. All right, this is just eye candy. So they're going to run him out here, and as you can see, obviously one of your best players is running out here, so they're getting these guys to come out of here, and they're just running the same play the other way. There's, it's not much different than anything you just saw, but that's what they're doing. And again, it's not a great run, but just the point of they're using their players to
create mismatches, just conflict,
create eye contact, conflict. So, again, they're just cutting off the backside. They're really running away from this guy. And there's times, I believe, if they're doing it, the quarterback's actually reading this guy. If this guy would have ran this way, he would have thrown the bubble. So it's really an RPO, but it's just the fact that they're trying to get guys out of position. Again, they've got this step back bubble right here. They're just going to step back here and fake this little bubble. And again, nothing to this. Same play, right? Same play. If you look at it, it's really the same thing as if he ran it from over here. So they're finding different ways each week to get that kind of RPO built in and just run wide zone. There's nothing just special about what they're doing. They're just getting good at it. And again, you got to remember these linemen. How many Alabama linemen are in the NFL right now? It's got to be a lot. And so there's a lot of things that are going on. All right, one more wide zone, and I thought this was a really cool thing here that they did, just from a coaching perspective. Oh, sorry. No, I got two more wide zones. There we go. So he just gets around the corner. Again, now here's Jahmyr Gibbs, but you can see here with all the different motions and things. And again, they've got another
bubble.
They could fake the screen over here to that. So yeah, I don't know if they're faking that. I think that he actually would throw it if the numbers were there. And if you go back and look now, so that was another wide zone. Now, if you look at this last one, this is what I was about to say. So this is an unbalanced tackle over. So that's actually the tackle right there. That's a tight end backside here. Again, tight end's ineligible because he is covered up here. And all they're doing is running the same play just from that pistol, kind of that, because really people look at pistol as under center, especially in college. So it's just a different look. You can't key off of which side the back is on. But again, if you look, that's a tackle. That's your wide tight end right there. So they're allowing your three-man surface to this side of the center is now big guys. And so they're, not only do they just run it normally, they're putting those different things in there. Again, this jet motion here that you'll see, all this is eye candy. And this is just inside zone Y away, and they run this a ton. I didn't put a whole lot of these on here because already because I'm more or less showing the different ways that they're screwing with the defense. And this jet motion here, so now they have this play where he runs this inside zone, he comes over here and cuts off. They've also got the play where he runs here, this guy loops around, blocks, and the quarterback pulls and runs around. So now here's the thing. How much are they really wanting to run 9 since he hurt his shoulder? And that's where you start putting like RPOs, true pass options, not run options. But again, there's Jahmyr Gibbs. I got a whole thing on him coming up, but these next 3 plays, so these are weak side counters that they're about to run. When I say weak side counter, it means they're pulling a guard and then they're pulling the tight end, and then he's following the second puller, which would be the tight end. They run this a lot. This is one of their favorite staple plays, and it's just this play after a while, they just beat you down with this play over and over and over. And again, you'll see they got the jet motion here, but you got the 2 pullers coming here. And tight end's a little bit too slow there for my liking, but he plays Alabama, so he can't be wrong, right?
That's right. Well, he's a little bit of a 5-star tight end that Nick Saban had some trouble with, so he probably doesn't want to block too much.
Now, if you look at this, so they go out here and they go out here in this goofy set out here.
They sent him to Texas.
Oh, they left him there?
Billingsley?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they sent him to Texas.
Oh, okay. Traded him.
So you got
this is a converted linebacker tight end.
Who's that?
Bama's tight end.
81.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got
5-star, I think, though.
So you got the big tight end 85. There's 81, and here comes 5. This is Roy Dale Williams. I kind of like this kid. I don't know anything about him, but he's got some juice to him too. But this is the same play, but they started out wide, and they try to give you these different looks, and then when they bring those guys back in, then you need to kind of recheck everything, get everything back reset. You can see this. He's checking. They're trying to figure out what to do. that's all they're doing. All that, and that's easy. That's not even something you have to practice really. You just say, hey, go here. This is a reduce motion, and you're reducing down from out wide. Again,
I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but has Alabama kind of changed what they've done offensively since Young got hurt, Bryce Young? Have they shifted? Does it seem like they're more run first now?
I haven't seen that, but at the same time, I haven't seen as many quarterback pulls from him. I think that's the big thing. I think they're still running it, but they're figuring out ways to get him. The option now is for him to throw the ball instead of running it. So I think that's where they've changed. That they have. Again, there's not a whole lot of games since he came back. 2 games ago, game and a half ago. But going forward on this, now this is the same play, but now they're running it to the strong side. And what I'm saying with that is they're running it to a tight end side. So what they're doing now, instead of they're running all the counters were running over here with 2 pullers. Now they're going to run to the tight end side with 2 pullers. And again, 81, he maybe he's just, like you said, maybe he's just he's thinking too much in there. You see that?
Yeah.
And
not doing a whole lot.
He don't want no.
I don't think 81 is gonna be a threat in the run game for any of these. I don't think they look at this and say, man, 81, he's just gonna go in there and blow somebody up. But again, 85, their other guy, the 85, their other tight end right here looks like a lineman, and that's that guy right there. I mean,
81 ain't looking for no work.
That guy, their other tight end is basically
that's
another lineman.
Offensive line.
And
Dylan Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's a quarterback pull coming up. Now this one's going to be Jalen Milroy, okay? But again, this is one of those plays that down on the goal line, we saw Jaden Daniels being able to pull it and do it. It's what people are running down here on the goal line, and again, who knows if this kid's going to – this kid might –
I was about to say, I was going to ask you, do you think Alabama puts in maybe a package for him this
why
week?
not?
Just to throw LSU maybe off?
Why not?
Especially with the bye week.
Yeah.
And I think this is what you see. He becomes Taysom Hill, for a lack of a better term. That's what he becomes because he is a quarterback, but he's also that big. He's big, can run. Why not give him a package? It doesn't hurt, and allow him to do that so it keeps it alive in your system. Now you've got this is basically the same play coming up as we just saw, but this is what I like to call duo. And all this is just you're basically manned up, or you're double teaming where you can up to the linebackers, and the back is going to step in, and he's really reading the front side linebacker. But this is Gibbs, and this is one of those plays that they run a lot of too. This play showed up. I had the whole season pulled up when I was looking through this, but I'd say this play showed up just as much as the wide zone did. And really all they're doing, as you see, it's just really man blocking. They're doubling here. He's got a man on. Again, 81 should be a little bit more aggressive here, I think. But you can see how he's – when that linebacker goes here, one goes here. And one's a good player, and that's what I'm going to get into next. So all these that's their type of runs that you're going to see. That's what they do to confuse defenses. Now, guys, let's talk about their guys. Jahmyr Gibbs. This guy's got juice. Here, wide zone again, just straight wide zone. And we can sit here and watch him score all day, but I'll show this from the end zone. Watch the cut that this kid makes whenever he puts his foot in the ground. It's patience. It's patience to let everything pass him by.
Speed.
So when you're coaching these type of plays, the offensive line is coached. If you're on the hash, you want to try to get your guy on this. If you like this guy and this guy, they need to try to get them out to the numbers. That's basically what you're trying to do. You want to run them sideways to get them out there. As the back, your job is to run laterally and get these guys to flow over the top, and then you cut up. And
Cut to daylight.
Yeah, this is not a cut back by any means. It is a cut up the field, vertical cut. 10's hanging. When 10 ends up going over the top, then he can make that cut. That's a great job by the line too for Alabama's line. So as the linebackers, if you're a linebacker for LSU and you're talking about how do I combat this? Well, you have whatever gap you have, you better fill that gap. Now, that's kind of what this guy's doing. But again, there's nobody filling in back here into this gap right here. So there should be another player either folding into it or another player from back here filling in there. So that's why if you ever hear filling gaps, there was a gap there, and they did a good job. So you just got to be careful and make sure that your gap sound against that wide zone because they've run a ton of it. Again, wide zone, same play, nothing different, but you don't want to let this kid get going. Watch him just outrun everybody. And that's an explosive, really explosive play right there that he got just. And again, this is nothing special that they're doing. And again, you've even got him right here just looking for somebody. I need somebody to block. Now go 65.
Yeah.
Look, 65 is like,
hey, set it up.
65 like, bro, I ain't that fast, man. I mean, see if one kind of set it up a little bit right here, and used to, and I don't think you can anymore. Used to in college, you could go cut those guys. I don't think you can cut in the open field anymore, but you can see 65's like, dude, man,
I had a chance.
I had you, bro.
Look, you'd follow me,
right? Yeah, you do a truck and trailer. Do you think that the comparison of Gibbs to Kamara is fair? Do you feel like that's the?
I think that's fair. I think he's got some like that right there. That little move that he just made. That patient, he's going to come over here. He's going to kind of slink right in here for a second, and he's going to take off. And that's what makes Kamara so good. That's what made Le'Veon Bell so good. That's what, those kind of runners, they can hang, and take off. It's a change of speed. And the fact that what he does to the safety, and again, this goes back to the safeties. Now, if you want to talk about LSU, what they've got to do, those tackling issues that they've had, when you get these kind of things where it's one-on-one, you've just got to break down. See how you see how he crosses over. He's got his shoulders are turned. You can't do that. You got to just find a way to have him. You want this guy to stop his feet. You don't want him to make you stop your feet. You don't want to be
the one in the chair.
And again, that's what Gibbs does good. Now talk about him in the pass game. This is where he can be dangerous, and this is where, if you want to compare him to Kamara, this could be where it is. He's actually out wide right there as the receiver. So this will be your 21 pony, but you've got that's number one right there. So he's going to come on this motion. They're actually going to throw the little bubble to him here. This is easy stuff. This is not. And again, I believe this is an RPO because I believe this is straight up. No, this is a straight pass. Blocking. That's straight block. So, but that's a good way to get him involved. Is get him the ball in space. Now, as LSU right now, you got to think, what are they thinking this is? And you see that they're thinking that. Then all of a sudden that shows up where he's blocking. So now, if you're these linebackers, you have to be gap sound. You can't fall for the eye candy. You can't fall for those kind of things. And if you're the D lineman, if you've got a gap, if you've got the quarterback or whatever the case is, that you've got to stay sound in what you're doing.
It's the Bill Belichick. Just do your job. Don't get caught up in trying to do too much or by trying to make a play. If you do what you do, all 11 will be okay. But if you start getting caught up or feel like you have to go chase, that's how big plays happen.
Yeah, and here, look at this. You got 3 guys over here, and there's number 1 at the bottom. Look how many guys Mississippi State has covering those 3 guys. That's where you look sometimes and you say, "What are you doing, man?"
Popping that one out there,
and then all you do is just throw number 1 the ball. And they're again that goes to, I guarantee you, those type of formations show up on Saturday. LSU will have an answer for them, but Bama, I'm telling you, Bama's got a lot of they've got a lot of stuff. Just stuff, and it's nothing that they're doing special. Have you seen anything that's just a trick play? Nothing's a trick play. Everything's just kind of all over the place. Now here's something he's going to do that is really good, and I believe he's going to bump. Let me see here. Yeah, he's going to bump the other side. So he's going to run a choice route in here, and then depending on how this guy plays him, he can either break it in, he can break it out, or he can sit it right there. It's just called a choice route, and this is where again. I think the linebackers for LSU are probably a little bit more athletic than – actually, he ran it off the corner that waited on him. But you can see how he broke it in. Whoever ends up covering them for LSU is probably going to be more athletic than what you see from Texas. But, again, you've got to be aware for these choice routes and things out of the backfield because you want Kamara again. You know, that's your your thought. See, what they're doing is this could be a H post. So they're pulling when they run this shallow cross. This guy is called a grab shallow or an elimination shallow. He's running across the field trying to pull this guy out with him. And then what they're doing is they're running. Then that opens up that void right there.
Yep.
So that could be H post that he's running. Could be choice, but I think this
Texas route.
I think this next one. I think this one is an H post. And when I say H post, you'll see what I'm talking about. They're gonna come across the field and try to pull these guys this way for him to follow them back in there. You see that?
Yep.
That's it's a ballsy throw right there, because really there's other places you can go with this. You don't have to go just because they called it H post or H quick seam or whatever it's called doesn't mean you have to go there. But because there's a guy standing right there, and I mean obviously it worked for him. But and then this last one is, and you could see a pattern to all this. This is we used to call this vapor. And it was called vapor because you were following a vapor trail is what it was. But you'll see it's kind of the same thought process. And this could be the exact same play call they just had. It just looks a little different. But, again, See how he stopped right there? Because he felt this guy coming down. So, again, there's ways that they're getting this guy involved. All right, now moving into the quarterback. What makes this quarterback special? Let me ask you
unique
this.
in the pocket.
Okay, so what makes Bryce Young a Heisman winner in your mind?
His ability to stay in the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, not get tackled, and continue to make plays while it seems like everything's breaking down.
And he also has the ability to what?
Run.
He also has the ability to scramble. I got some stuff here, some scrambles, but I want you to watch him throw the ball. Number one, he's a quarterback. And I heard Brian Kelly say that in his press conference yesterday, I believe. He said, what makes him what he is? And he said, he's a quarterback first. He's a quarterback first. So as you watch this is really going to end up being a variation of a sail route like we always talk about. It's a three-level pass by Bryce Young. And, again, you can see he's changing the play here, which is good. I mean, it's this guy's got it down. He understands. Oh, sorry, this was a double slant. Where am I at here? Oh, sorry, this was the audible double slant. But this was a blitz look. Sorry, guys, Halloween last night.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
What were you?
I was
dad.
I was unemployed coach last night.
Yeah.
But I was dad, yes.
Yeah,
I dressed up just like dad last night.
You yeah.
But I want you to watch
Monday Night Football?
I did watch Monday Night Football. So
seen that team before.
I have. So I want you to watch what's going on here. So he sees there's a blitz look. Bryce Young does. He sees there's a blitz look, and he says, nope, listen, I'm changing it. Let's get the protection here. You can see he gave the hand signal. That's control of the offense. So the fact that he has this, can throw a quick slant for a touchdown.
I mean, that's all because of what he just did pre-snap, right?
Correct, because he changed it to that. He saw the outside leverage it looked like from those guys, and that's why you run the double slant in there. Now here's the sail variation that I was talking about, and again, this is simple. This is simple stuff. So as you look here, really he's stopping here. So there's your deep, and then your back is falling out over here, and he's just going to look here. Now watch this throw he makes. Drop it. I mean, he just drops it to these guys. And
if you bring it back a little bit, look at the anticipation of when he throws it. This is what we talked about with Jaden Daniels. Like he's not always going to be open, but you can throw him open. Look when he starts to throw this football. But I'm throwing it now.
Yeah, he's throwing it now, and he's not even looking yet.
Right, and that's what makes Bryce Young so special.
Correct, and that's where I think a lot of people are going to say. I've heard people say Jalen Hurts. You know, he's that type of player. This guy throws the ball with more ease than Jalen Hurts did or does. And Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, obviously. He's the only undefeated quarterback in the league right now.
But you saw with Jalen Hurts, you saw it take time. Like it was a project almost, more of a project. But he's a polished thrower of the football, bar none.
And this is just a dagger route. This is just the in breaking route, and just being able to see this develop. See, this guy's going to break right in here, and look at his eyes right now. It's hard to see because I know it's small, but he hangs in there and just drops a dagger in there, and that's where with LSU and those rushers that they got. that you've got to find a way to get him off of his
spot.
Yeah, get him off his comfort level, because watch him just drop back, just hang out. He's not worried about anything. Okay, he got hit a little bit, but you got to find ways to get in his face, push his lineman back into his face. This concept showed up a lot here, and this is, again, you're taking one out, and again, this is you're going to see I call this a 3-man stomp. So it's really an inside fade that you're going to see, and he drops dimes here on these guys. So these two guys are kind of running a stick, a hitch, and this guy's running that inside fade out to here. And watch where he drops this ball. I mean, right over the top. You can see it from the other angle. And that's really, that's good coverage. You can't sit there and tell a Tennessee guy, you got to cover him better. You had good coverage, and now you had help over the top.
That was late.
That was late, but again, if you're going to get into empty sets like this, find a way to get pressure on him, because he's going to drop those balls right over his shoulder. And again, this is not a love fest for Alabama right here. I just want everybody to understand that this is more of listen, this is what they're good at. Do you want to know what you're seeing on Saturday? This is what you're seeing on Saturday. Same thing here. Same concept. He's going to end up running that. Same exact concept, same game. So what does this prove? Same game, same concept. What does that prove?
Same game, same concept. That's something that we're going to do every week.
It also tells you that most coaches believe in you don't run the same play twice. Well, they don't care. If something's working, they're going to run it, and they're going to allow their guys to play. And again, is that that kind of reminds me of that throw from Jaden Daniels when he kind of underthrew it a little bit. But if you're going to play man coverage on these guys, and again, you've got a 5-man rush coming in here, and just the poise of the quarterback, and that's why again, he won the Heisman for a reason. And he again, you got just throwing easy passes, and then number 3, you just say go up and make the play.
It's a woman beater.
And so this now getting into his scrambles, this right here. So I've got 5 of these, and I want you to watch all five of these and how long some of these take to develop.
Oof,
that's what
makes him special.
He avoided the corner cat, and then he's just going to run. I don't know how much of that you're going to see of him trying to he may just run out of bounds even quicker than that, but watch him avoid the corner cat from this side.
And this is at a monumental spot in the game.
And he avoided that. That should be a sack. That's what Hendon Hooker got hit with, except from a safety. And LSU made the play. That's where LSU, if they're going to do these kind of blitzes, you got to come home. You can't miss. And you got to think.
Now there's nobody left.
You got to think too. Is it roughing the passer if I hit him in the knees, or am I tackling him, or whatever the case is? But you better not
miss him.
You better not go too high or think, because he's going to do something like that. You got to go in. Got to have your arms out. You got to have a big wingspan. You got to have something that's going to run into him. If you don't make the tackle, at least slow him down, trip him up.
Shoot your guns.
So looking at this is just a quick out right here that ends up being a big play. And again, it's just this guy just ran a little quick out right here. Now he scrambles, and then all of a sudden, all these guys drop coverage. So what are you thinking if you're LSU's defensive coordinator or DBs? Is okay, it looks to me like they decided to double this guy. That's great. Well, you better make sure if you're taking another guy out of the coverage, you better make sure your other coverage guys have their eyes open, and it doesn't look like Tennessee did.
Well, and he had to come up because of the threat to run.
Yeah,
you feel like you're making the right, like I said, you feel like you're making the right play, but you left your man unassigned.
But this goes like, do your job.
Mm-hmm.
If you're this guy right here, it's these guys' job to contain him. It's not your job necessarily. And you see, like you said, he stepped up right there when he saw him step up. Well, there's a guy running wide open down the field. So you just got to be, you got to be careful. This here is just a double under concept. And what I mean by double under, just like a short in route. So I believe number 3 is running deep here. But it's just that 2 of these guys are running little under routes, and yeah, number 3 is running. So see, he's just going under. He's running the shin, and he's running across the field. And again, scramble, eyes up, and look what the guy did though. Watch what this guy does. It's designed. Is this designed? I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so. But he runs up in here, kind of gets lost, and then takes off. And
do you think this is a variation of like the scramble drill a little bit?
See, I think he's right.
But
I think I think this guy was running across the field like this, and when he scrambled, that's when he peeled off this way. And you see, but look at the arm strength to be able to get. And this is why, as a DB, stick with your guy. Don't try to do something that's not in your job description for that day. And I know it seems simple. And it is simple. Alabama doesn't do anything tricky. They're not trying to trick you. This is a group that is built on execution. They, Saban and Belichick are kind of one and the same.
Right.
When you talk about playing, they want to eliminate bad football. That's kind of one of the things they always say. We want to eliminate bad football, and that's what they try to do. This is a humongous scramble right here. Watch how long this one and the next one are big scrambles, but this is crazy because he's going to end up throwing the ball to the running back who's just sitting down at the bottom of the screen here in a minute. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he ends up leaking out somehow. There he is. There he is.
There he comes back.
There he came back.
Flag football.
He came back. So this is just one of those things. I knew there was a guy down here, but he's going to run all the way over here, run back, and then end up throwing it back over here. That might be the best illustration I've ever done.
That was great.
But look at the, protection wise. I mean, get 40 on number 2 if you just saw how number 2 took on that block. But you got to find a way to keep this guy.
He ran a route.
What's that?
The dude that caught the ball ran like a route.
And he came back, and then he came. That's true scramble. If you're deep, you come back. If you're shallow, you go deep. If you're behind the play, you run across. But watch number 2 here, just so we're talking about protection, and if you can get 40 or this is a DB on him right here. Watch this DB take him and just push him back in the quarterback.
Oh God.
So there's ways. You got to find ways to attack the back. You got to find ways to get
attack 81.
Attack 81, especially in the run game. You just don't.
Superman can bleed.
Yes. And now this is a touchdown. This was a double post concept, but this was a good play. I went black there. There we go. So they're going to end up. I can't remember which 2, but it's going to be like a double post concept here. And 10 got caught up there, but you can see they're trying to get somewhere in this area right here with him in the flat. And again, look how long this takes. He's going to turn around, run back over here, and then he's going to throw a touchdown in the back of the end zone over here. That's just backyard football. That's straight backyard football. And that's where, my opinion, that's where 9
shines.
That's where he gets his Heisman votes. This is where he gets this is where he, look at it. I mean, he's not even worried about the guys rushing. I wouldn't be either with the hogs they got up front there with the O-line.
But his poise is uncanny a little bit.
It
right?
is.
Where he's always, I think
Stu,
you
can you
said
kick me off for a second?
Yeah, I think that you said it perfectly. It's like, it feels like patience, but there's a lot going on around him, but he doesn't seem fazed by it to the point where maybe there isn't a lot going on around him. Like if you're watching it, but when you see it, they're trying, defenses are trying to do different things to scheme up for him, and he just is unfazed by it. It's like he has the answer to the test.
He's really good at what he does, and I want to bring this up. I wrote the guy's name on there. It's Tyler Harrell, I believe, and this is a guy that I know his name's been brought up a little bit, and they've had a bye week. Maybe they can get this guy. He's a 5th year. I believe he's using his extra year as he played 4 years at Louisville, and these are Louisville clips of this kid. He's a receiver. He's number 8. I believe he's number 8 for Alabama as well. He's only caught 1 pass on the year, but this is him right here. And if they can get this guy involved a little bit more, this guy has some juice. That's Florida State he's doing that against. It's not like it's some chumps, it's you
guys
say
they can run.
And they got a little dance going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at the next one here, and again, these are just plays of this guy so you can see the type of player that they have that hasn't even shown up yet. He's right here. He's going to catch this ball, and he can just this guy's a good player, and he's deceptively fast. Look at him run away from those guys. I get it, it's Wake Forest, but he's deceptively fast right there. He didn't look like he was moving. So they have this guy kind of hidden on the roster right now. So is he going to show up? I don't know, but I mean, it's one of those things where if you see number 8 show up, this is going to be one of those guys that you just got to be aware of. And again, watch him run. I believe it's him right here. You know,
Coach, that's not deceptive. That's speed.
It is. Well, the last one looked deceptive.
Yeah, he was toying with them.
So if 8's in the game, they're trying to push the ball down the field.
I would say so. Yes. If you start seeing 8 in the game, then they're trying something different.
Because you haven't really seen that from Alabama this season.
No,
like pushing the ball down the field, just like they have in the past few years with the receivers that they've had.
Again, that's him right there.
And this is the code break that they're looking for.
I believe this is Clemson. They're playing right there too. So that's one of the better teams in the nation, obviously. So you're talking about figuring out how to get a guy like this involved. So
he has 1 catch for 12 yards on the year.
It was like a 9-stop, and I was going to pull it out, but I was like, that doesn't look like something anybody wants to watch. Up here at the top, this is Duke. I believe they're playing here.
Oh, my God.
And so they've got a guy. And it's great. So this guy is a 5th year. With the COVID thing, he's got, everybody got that extra year. You can kick me off for a second. So everybody got that extra year with COVID, and that's where this guy kind of showed up. And there is something to knowing that they have those hidden gems in there. You can kick me back on now. So that's their offense. Looking at their defense, give me a name on their defense.
The middle linebacker that went to Tennessee.
Henry To'oTo'o.
Yeah.
No. Give me
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson.
Dallas Turner.
I would tell you Will Anderson, in my opinion, if you want to look at a guy and say he's number 31, so just letting some of these play, these are just tackles for loss, or he's running guys down from the backside. And the thing about these kind of guys, this guy reminds me of, he's bigger than Harold Perkins, but you want to talk about the effect on a game this guy has.
He's a game wrecker.
You cannot let this guy. It's like last night in the Bengals game. We said going into that game, you can't let Myles Garrett beat you, and they did.
Guess what happened? Yeah.
God. And you're talking about you can't let 31. You got to find a way with whatever you do. You cannot let 31 beat you. And I thought this was a pretty good job by Alabama. If you watch what they did here,
I hate those sentence.
I'm sorry, but they got another guy standing here for the quarterback if he were to pull it. So the quarterback saw that, and even though this was probably a pull read,
he didn't want to go ahead up to 31.
He didn't want. He just didn't want to. If he had 42,
you take it.
Yeah, you take it, bro. You're good.
This play is we're in the can.
Again, 31 got his hand down right here. That to me is. That's what you're looking for from a guy who's going to be maybe a defensive end or an outside linebacker
or a first overall pick.
He could be, yeah. So watch what he does here. He goes under. He spills the play. Number one, this play should go out here, but
he just wrecks it.
And again, here's I believe the last one of his TFLs. But everybody's got to understand that this guy 31 is going to create problems if you decide to just single him up the whole game. Or if you, like right here, they're not even running at him. I would almost run at him and try to get a couple of different bodies on him, get 4 hands on him and do that. Now here's some quarterback hits. So I believe that's him up there. That's him. So some of these aren't all sacks, but this reminds me of what Ojulari and Perkins are doing, because you see what they're doing. They're putting 3 guys over here on this side trying to consume everybody, and then he's going to up and under this, and they bring the linebacker down here to do the same thing that Mingo did. Mekhi Wingo.
There you go.
Sorry, I was watching Mingo this weekend.
Barkevius?
No, Ole Miss receiver.
Oh, yeah.
Torching the Aggies.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe there's an avenue there for you, Coach. You can at least help hold some of those play sheets.
If somebody wants to buy them out, I'll go coach the rest of the year for free. looking at 31, he's.
Would you start the freshman?
He's right here.
At quarterback?
Wegman?
Yeah. Where's that? What happened?
All day.
Where you just been sitting on the bench?
All day, just sitting on the bench. So right here, again, this is they're setting things up for 31, and this is simple stuff that they're doing. So 31's here, and they're going to end up bringing him around, and you see how he ran up the field, and I mean he comes all the way around, gets a hit on the quarterback, and again, you remember that stuff. I believe this is a sack here. So there's 31. Again, same thing. They got the overloaded front, but watch what he does. This is, you want to talk about this is where a guy like Will Campbell or Emory Jones or those guys, those freshman kids, this is a wake-up call, because if you're going to be one-on-one because they've overloaded this side, you got to find ways to get help here, or you got to get help with the back. You got to find ways to get help, because right now they've found a way to isolate the line, but it didn't matter here because he's just going to run flat around him.
Speed to power.
That's just speed. I mean, that's just straight speed. And then here's a couple other sacks that they've had. He doesn't actually have the most sacks, I believe, on their team. It's just kind of like it's a mix of guys, but this is really just a 4-man rush, and I believe he gets on. I think this guy just trips up himself unless he got him by. He might have got him. You can see there's 31 back here. He might have just grabbed his foot right there, just barely. But again, 4-man rush, and the quarterback got flustered. That's where Jaden Daniels has got to be cool. He's just got to be cool in the pocket. Again, 4-man rush, coverage sack. I would say that's probably more of a coverage sack,
especially with the quarterback that you're playing when he wants to run it.
Yeah, and this is where guys have got to get open too. So when you've got a 4-man rush, you're playing a form of man. Actually, this may be that. Let me get back to it. So they run this brackets type coverage, and you see how this guy's turned, kind of looking this way. This guy's turned, kind of looking this way, and you see how these guys are outside leverage of these guys. So what they're saying is they want to funnel everything in, because you've got these two guys in the middle playing. It's almost like 2-man. But it's saying, no, we're instead of playing the deep half, these guys are going to play more.
Forcing you in.
They want to funnel everything into the middle, and then allow you to get those extra.
Yeah, they're shrinking the football field.
Yeah, you're getting extra guys, so it's that's the type of brackets. That right there's a Saban thing. That's 100%. That's Alabama for years that they've done that, and that's something that you got to be aware of too, because you got to say, where are your throws going? Are we trying to throw across the middle? Because if you are, you got extra guys in there. And now this was, I said this kind of reminded me of that Ole Miss. Remember when LSU ran the tight end over here, and they had like 3 tight ends right here, and they were all sniffing each other.
Yeah,
and then,
14 personnel.
Then the other guy came across. Watch what happens with this one. This one might even be even better, because this is kind of like a Y sneak. So he's blocking. This guy's just going to sneak out over here. Everybody else is running. Basically some form of like roll pass, like a naked, and he turns back and throws it over the top here. One of the good things the Aggies have done all year. But if you look though, this is the same thing, because if you get that goal line kind of, tight man coverage right here, and you've shown enough runs down here,
created enough flow,
and you create it, and they get lost, and then all of a sudden you've got a guy wide open. So there's ways down in the red zone to exploit the man coverage, and they've got to do that. This one showed up a couple times, and I thought this was a good idea. Do you recognize the formation?
I do. Looks like LSU. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. This is that formation. They have nobody up here. So there's ways to get these guys a little.
Look, one's asking, what should I do?
You've got 2 guys on this side of the horn head over here that there's nobody to cover over here. And I get it. That they're playing that same like brackets coverage. I get it, but all of a sudden you're running like this double post here with a dagger underneath. So you're taking the coverage out and running a guy under and throwing it to this guy underneath. And really, I thought that was a very well designed play.
Making it 9 versus 11.
It gets you to push. You get everybody pushing. You get all these guys running out of here. You consume this guy, and then he runs underneath. And you'll see it here. It actually shows up again in a different game. Aggies decided to run it. Now, I don't think it's the same formation. Actually, it is the same formation. Is it? No, they got a tight end up top. So, but if you watch, it's the same thing. They're going to try to run these double posts, run guys out, and then run this guy under. And there's ways when you talk about this brackets coverage. Again, you can see how he's turned in. He's turned in. Yeah, it looks like they're kind of, but again, he's playing outside leverage. It's more of a brackets type
same thing.
Look, same exact play. And I'm sure copycat league, you can hit that. Now, LSU, find a new formation. Run out empty. Find a new formation. Find something to create that void, because that void has been there. And obviously A&M and who wrote Mississippi State or whoever ran
Texas.
was Texas. Sorry, I blocked them out of my memory.
Do you think the addition of Eli Ricks changes that at all? Because he hasn't been playing. He plays against Mississippi State. I think he was targeted 7 times, didn't give up a catch.
I don't know, because not with that coverage. That coverage, no, because those guys are playing rules.
Assignments.
They have assignments. It's not man. It's not necessarily man. If you've got true man or whatever it is that they're running, which they do run. That's a Saban Belichick thing again. But if you look here, you've got a really underthrown pass by A&M, but the receiver goes back up and gets it, because if you want to say that DB was out of phase in on this one. So when you watch up here at the top, just throw it. You got to throw it over the top, and then he underthrew it, but he come back. So receivers have got to understand. Go back for the ball. Go fight for the ball, because these guys sometimes get out of phase with where they're supposed to be, and they're susceptible to. Obviously you would love pass interference penalties to get the ball where it is, but I take 15 yards over a
tutty.
So this go okay. So this one here's a slot sluggo. I didn't know what else to call it, because a sluggo's a slant and go. It's going to be that kind of a glance and go, but this should have been a touchdown. Again, my man just stopped running. And this goes to, if you've got Kayshawn Booty or whoever, Malik Neighbors, one of these guys who have a little speed, and they get over the top, lay that ball out there, man. Just lay it out for them and let them run under it. Let them run under it and let them go score. Because, again, we talked about earlier how the defense of LSU has got to make those plays. The offense of LSU, if you have a guy that wide open, you have to score. You have to score on those.
Don't let them line it up again.
People are going to say, "Oh, that's an explosive play." Great. I don't know. I have to go back and look and see if they actually scored on that possession.
Right, because
Now you got this one here is this seam just beat quarters right here. So this seam's this is that brackets coverage type of stuff, but it's kind of almost the same thing that other guy ran a minute ago. But if you just run right between the guys like that, now again that's what's 11's name for Tennessee? Good receiver. Hyatt, yeah. But as you see, I mean, again, look at this throw by Hooker. He laid it over the top and allowed his guy to make the play.
Run underneath it.
Easy stuff. Now, this thing is a switch seam, and again, if you notice, you see where Tennessee's got their guys. He's kind of behind there's 2 guys stacked behind my face over here. It's fine. You guys can see it. They're gonna switch seam it down here. See, there they showed up. So these 2 guys, one guy ran here and stopped. One guy ran here and stopped, and then the other guy ran that seam, and you can see they're hitting that same spot in between those 2 guys, just like they did on that last touchdown. And then obviously if you get that, there's number 11 again. I mean, but when you get that chance, you have to score on those kind of plays. You cannot miss those plays at all, because if you miss those, then you're obviously you're going to be fighting uphill. And then I believe this is the last one I've got of their defense. There's ways with this type of brackets coverage, like we were talking about, where these guys are playing here. There's ways of getting into kind of that, I call it the honey hole area of cover 2. And this corner is going to fall down.
Nope.
But you can see there's that little.
No matter what, yeah.
There's that little area right there that you can still hit those plays into, and I think that's where you got to exploit those type of things versus that coverage. We're talking about how do you beat that coverage? Well, there's ways to beat that coverage because those guys, those safeties are all looking. These safeties are looking to funnel back inside, and if you can keep something outside or run that seam route. Sorry, you can't see it on the screen. Run that seam route in between him and that corner. There's ways of, getting past some of what they're doing. So I think number one, so that's what I got for their defense. Can you kick me off for a second?
And so, if you're the corner on that play, even if he doesn't fall down, do you want him to sink more if there's nothing in front? Like you just kind of have to feel for like
if you're a cover 2 corner and there's nothing there and you're in that
no man's land
of okay, there's really nothing in the flat. But I'm supposed to play the flat. Well, just sink back enough to where you can still, if something were to run into the flat from the other side, a crossing route, shallow cross, a back coming out late, you could still rally up to it. But yeah, I think he just fell down on that one. But so what I've got coming up. So that was Alabama. Is there any other thoughts you got on that? Because right now I think number one, if you're LSU's defense. If you're LSU's defense, you've got to get pressure on Bryce Young. You've got to get pressure on him. If you don't get pressure on him, and I'm talking about 4-man rush pressure. You're talking about twist games, finding ways to get him off of his just comfort of sitting back there.
And I feel like LSU has done a good job of that, primarily in the second half whenever they've created some stuff up front, whether it be with Mekhi Wingo and B.J. Ojulari, or you see what Harold Perkins has done. They have that kind of built in already because Matt House runs I don't want to say complicated scheme, but he has little things in there that are built in to trick an offensive lineman.
And also, if you looked at, go back to all those runs and those RPO looks that we had early on, is finding ways to not get your linebacker that's in the middle of the field. You got to find ways to get him in a situation where he can either play the run or he can play some sort of in between, but you don't want him to have to make a decision of I'm not going to play the run, and then you saw that one play where there was nobody filling that backside gap, and you get a huge play. So they'll find ways to do that. I know they will. I'm very impressed with LSU's defense and the way they've put it on the field for the most part. I think the Harold Perkins thing is the only thing I would question at this point, but I think they're fixing that. That seems like it's being fixed. So. Then offensively for LSU versus their defense, again, it's that brackets-ish look that they're given right there, as well as you can't let 31 beat you. You cannot let 31 wreck your game.
Right.
Number one, stop him. You cannot if you allow him to wreck your game, it doesn't matter what the rest of them are doing. You have to find ways to keep him keep him out of the mix. He's gonna make plays. Don't get me wrong. He's gonna make plays.
But don't let him be the reason you lose.
Don't let him make the plays.
Right. And we do have a question in the chat from you, Hunter Hall, obviously big Alabama fan. He's been waiting for this for 2 weeks now. He said after getting all of that film, what are your thoughts on Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien? Pete Golding being Alabama's defensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, Alabama's offensive coordinator.
I think Bill O'Brien is doing. Everybody has their thoughts about him as a head coach or whatever, and I think his personality and Saban's personality probably match, and he is the Saban on offense for them, which I think is probably what Saban wants. Saban wants that stabilizing disciplinarian type of guy.
I don't have to worry about what he's. I know he's coming to work every day.
Correct. He can go over to the defense and just be with the defense, and then Golding, I think, just as long as you run what Saban wants run and you get it. You do your plans. You get practice right. As long as you're calling the game the way he wants it called, because if it's anything like what I lived through in Detroit with Matt Patricia, who came from Belichick, on Saturday nights.
What I lived through.
on Saturday, I don't mean it in that way. But, on Saturday nights, like we would come together as a whole staff, and you talk about how are you calling the game. And even though Matt was a defensive guy, who ironically is the offensive play caller for the Patriots now, but he was a defensive guy. The defensive coaches would have to tell him this is how we're calling the game, and it made everybody understand. Okay, we're all on the same page. This is how we're calling the game. The offensive coaches did the same thing, and I'm sure that's what they do with Saban. I'm sure that they go in on Friday nights and they say, listen, this is how we're calling the game. Let's not veer from this plan. This is what I expect. And I think those coaches fall into line with Saban, and I think what they're trying to get done. So, well, are you ready? Moving to Saints here?
I guess.
I got a little bit here.
We've got Alabama, and I have to watch some bad Saints football.
Actually, this is good. This is actually good Saints football.
I mean, how often do you get – we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. You don't get too many shutouts in the NFL anymore.
You don't get almost none. Almost none. And it's hard. It's hard to shut out a team. It's hard to win.
First of all,
it's hard to win. It's hard to shut out a team, especially when you shut out a team that has an offensive-minded head coach.
Right.
And right now, I would not want to be anywhere in that room on Monday morning after that game, because I think they actually are on the road. The Raiders left there and they went to Tampa because they're playing Jacksonville, I believe, this week. But they went to Tampa and they're practicing in Tampa all week or something like that. And it's like, I mean, you got to think they're having a rough go of it. All right, we talked about. With the Saints last couple weeks, what happened to Taysom Hill, and I think number one, I think the 2 interceptions on that Thursday night in the second quarter took them out of running those kind of plays, but they came back to Taysom Hill, and I like what they're getting done. They're running power here, but it's quarterback power. Again, you're gaining blockers. You have bodies on bodies, and you're allowing Taysom Hill to, you're not just handing the ball off and then some guy's just going to go stand around out there. So they're getting back to that. They're taking the quarterback off the field. And if you look, they motioned Kamara out, and now you're back.
You got a light box too.
Yeah, you got a light box, but you've also got, look how many you got. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you wanted to, obviously, are you gonna peel back on that guy? Yep, they do. But you've got guys on. You got a body for a body if you need it. Now they didn't do a great job blocking it right there, but it was enough to get Taysom Hill going. I wanted to make a point of this play, and this is what Andy Dalton has been doing good. I don't know what the criteria was for this. Like he canned this play or he killed this play, but. They gave a quarters look here, and he looks up and you can see him touch his head. He's saying like kill or can. And so whatever they had a run or they had a certain different pass route called, but they changed it to what I call a jersey route. And you'll see how this guy ran. Here, I'll rewind it. This guy's going to kind of run in and he's going to do that. And then you got this guy crossing over here, and you got a back and a flat. So you end up with those 3 levels again, but it's a different way of getting to it. And just the patience of, getting the ball. That's a big play because and
that's a long developing play too.
I don't even know who is 89 for the Saints. Is that the rookie kid?
That's what I was about to ask.
I can't think of his name.
Shaheed.
Mm-hmm. Is that Shaheed?
As a coach, how does that happen? How does that come to? We're like, oh. We might have a guy here where it's, you're 6 weeks into the season, 7 weeks into the season, he makes the team, and then is that just through practice? You're like, we got to get him on the field.
I'd be willing to bet you guys like that they've known about, but you have Michael Thomas, and you have Jarvis Landry and all those guys. So all during training camp, all during the first few games, you're not taking them off the field for them. And then all of a sudden those guys are out, and then you start bringing guys up. That's how a lot of guys
found a way to stick.
And then not only is he running routes and that, he's probably on every special teams too. So when you're done, he's making plays on special teams, and those are the kind of players that stick around because of that. This was Kamara's first touchdown of the season. How about that?
Very aware. Have him on the fantasy team.
That to me shocked me when I heard that. I didn't realize that. I had no idea this was
because he's still been playing well.
Yeah,
but he just hadn't gotten in the end zone yet.
But again, this is what makes Kamara good. You missed a block right here. You got a guy sitting in the hole right here. You got a guy chasing you down right here. And he just says, nope, find my way in there. And that's what makes Kamara. And to have him back for the Saints is good. I like this. This is, I don't know. Tell me what would you call this formation right here?
The Maryland Eye.
I think that's
it's a stack.
Just a 3-man stack, but you got Kamara stacked over here. All right. So what you're doing, this is Taysom Hill right here. So what you're doing is you've got the quarterback, Andy's not on the field. So you've got a receiver lined up at tight end. You have these 3 guys over here and these guys here, and you've got Taysom Hill at quarterback. So that gives you, it's like, whoa, what are we doing? So you go cover down. You go cover down. Now they're running what's called a bear front, where they're covering all the head up nose, the B gaps are covered. So that's the way they're trying to stop the run. But then he just runs basically straight up draw, or quarterback punch rather. I think they actually pulled the guard on this, but you can see, they're covering up. They're covering the inside gaps to try to do that, and then he just makes a cut. So having him back to do that was a big deal. Now this goes back to, we were talking about the Gibbs from
Alabama.
From Alabama. You can tell I've been coaching the NFL too long, can't get it out. But what they're doing here, I think this is going to be some form of a choice route again that he can do. But watch what happens. I believe he actually goes underneath the D end right here, and this is amazing. He's not even hot. He's not even hot right here, but this is amazing look from Andy to get that ball to him real quick. And let me ask you this: does he score?
Yes. How? I don't know.
Does he score? Does he score? Yep.
I thought about you when he did this, though.
Let
your good players do
things. You know what you do when he comes to the sideline on that one? High five.
Yeah. Because that's 101 stuff of, I don't want you to reach the ball. You've already done your job.
He's gonna break underneath the D end, and the fact that if you're the Raiders right now, you'd say,
we got him hemmed up.
Got him hemmed up. All right, get to the next down. Nope. And that's what makes Kamara really good. I like how excited he was after that too, because it shows he cares, and it's like,
especially with him being kind of on the, I don't want to say trade block, but it was the rumors around. He's like, I don't necessarily want to leave. Or y'all gonna have to give up a king's ransom for me.
So behind our heads over here, Andy Dalton is hiding behind over here. So Andy's on the field. Taysom Hill is at quarterback. So right now you've just taken a random DB out of the game to go cover Andy Dalton. And this is just all this is just it's read zone, and this tight end is going around over here to block, and they're cracking the receiver, which this right here is it's kind of, I want to say, I hate to say it's new, but it's kind of become, it's just he's cracking or pinning down here. He's coming around. So you're getting that kind of cross switch blocking action. So when the quarterback does pull it, you've got the linebackers pinned, you've got the D ends pinned.
Hat on a hat.
And it really does end up hat on a hat, and that's how you can get, again, that's 2nd and 10, I believe, right there. So it's an easy gain of 10, because you got the receiver coming in here cracking on 5.
Just wall him off.
So all you got to do, you're reading this guy. He's coming around blocking him, and all you got to do is just
outrun him.
So
is that Shaheed cracking?
I don't know. It might have been.
Because if this man's doing everything, it's going to be hard to take him off the field, even when Michael Thomas does come back, whenever he feels like he wants to do that.
All right. This is kind of hard to see, but I want you to watch this area of the screen right here when the scoreboard shows up. There's some dude in a cowboy hat, and he's just dancing. I don't know if you can see that or not.
I missed him.
This is the kind of stuff as coaches
I see him. There he is. I love that.
You see that. I don't know why you see this stuff, but Atlanta used to have a kid during the quarantine year. During the COVID year, this one kid would be in there, and he'd stand under the scoreboard shot, and he'd dance in every play.
And he has no clue that every coach, all 32 coaches know who he is.
Yeah, so I'm not – these guys get so beaten up. But if you watch Kamara again, he's going to run that same little burst route. And I don't know, because you see how Taysom Hill's running in right here. I'm not real sure what the concept was they were trying to do there with two guys right there. But, hey, why not? Simple, easy. But everybody keeps talking about, why did Alvin Kamara show back up this week? Well, Andy checked the ball down. It's easy. When you check the ball down to the back, sometimes, especially when you've got a guy
like that,
that's where, that again, I'll go back to Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell was not a great receiving back. He wasn't a great receiver. They threw these things to him. And then when you get the ball to Kamara, or you get the ball to Le'Veon Bell, or you get the ball to Armani Goodwin, or whoever it is right there, and you say Mixon, you just say, hey, listen, now you're a running back. It's kickoff return now.
This is fun for you.
Yeah, just go. You just run. And then this last one here on the offensive side, this is just a quarterback lead draw. And, again, there's no quarterback on the field other than Taysom Hill. So right now you've got all this eye candy of doing this, orbit motion or whatever you want to call it. And then you got the back coming over here. He picks up the blitzer off the edge, and then you just let Taysom Hill do what he does. And it's simple. And I think that's where I heard a lot
to their roots.
I heard a lot of people say, man, Sean Payton was in the building last week or something like that. Yeah, I guarantee you that, man, Sean Payton probably isn't going in there and helping them game plan right now, but he, it's one of those things you got to look back and say, what's been working for us? And they got back to it. Plus, they were up. They were winning.
That's what I feel like is the key for the Saints.
Be in the game. Can you kick me off for a second, Stewie?
And the only question I would have about the Saints offense is why do they, when they have Taysom Hill in, why do you keep Andy Dalton in? What's the point? Like you've shown so many clips where
I'll tell you why. You can kick me back on real quick. I'll tell you why. Let me get to. I know this is the Saints defense. I'm not an idiot. All right, but let's just say that's Andy Dalton right there, and you've got Taysom Hill in the game. You could always run him back, do a double pass. There's things
you have to account for that.
There's things you have to account for when it comes to having another quarterback on the field. You have to account for the fact that they might shift him back in.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things you got to account for. And the other thing that it does is, it just takes a guy out of the play. Now it's 10 minutes. Now you're playing against 10. And, but if you go to the defense, and I thought their defense was playing at a high level. And the reason that they won, okay, the reason they won is they had this play I'm about to show you was not good. This is back to that bad tackling. But if you look at the rest of the game, the D-line and the front guys just wrecked it. They wrecked everything going on. But other than this play, and again, this goes back to that bad tackling. I mean, right there, that guy should be tackled right there. And he slips through. Here comes another couple. He's running through. Again, that's bad tackling. After this play, you kind of saw a little bit of a change, and I think they just woke him up. I'm sure something had to have been said. But, there's that kind of crack block there. But you've got too many guys there, too many good players that are missing plays. Now, run defense. So I showed you that play. Really, this is what it looked like most of the game. And it wasn't anything, it's nothing crazy. But they blitz a guy off the edge, and these guys were winning up front. Look at the pushback just right there. Of the D-line. And that's where the Saints this week, if the Saints can do this in their division, if they can continue to play like they did the other day in their division, they should win that division.
Everything's right there in front of them. So as bad as why don't we even say as bad as it's been?
Atlanta,
they just don't have any of the wins.
Atlanta's 4-4, number one. Well, the Saints beat Atlanta. So if you can get back tied with them, you got the tiebreaker at this point. Now, again, they got to play again. But you can see, I mean, they did a really good job of this. Now, I thought this play, this interception was pretty sweet, because if you're 20, if you're Warner, you drop back, and you see he's I don't know if he's trying to throw it over his head right here, but he gets his hand on it right here, tip drill again. This is kind of like the one LSU missed that I showed earlier in the show, but right here Davis comes flying in, gets the ball. Those are the kind of plays that's Tyron. I'm sorry, Tyron Matthew.
That's what he does well.
But you get guys. That's why you always, if you're a young player or a coach of some young players, if you're a youth coach or something, teach your guys to always run to the ball. I'm talking about offensive linemen too, and because you just never know. And if you loaf, if you're doing those kind of things like right here, so if you throw this ball, it's tipped up in the air, and these guys right here have got to go up here because you got to tag them down still, right? But you can see here, if you look around, they're taught that. These guys understand. The big guys still got there. So, but I thought that was a heck of a play by them. Now, I believe they got credit for 4 sacks. So one of these didn't count, but I want to talk about what they were doing. You've heard the term marriage of Russian coverage.
Say that again?
The marriage of Russian coverage. Mm-mm. So what it's saying is you can get a good rush if you have good coverage. you can have good coverage if you've got
Get a
good rush.
Yeah.
So right now, if you look at what they're doing here, they have really, really good coverage on this, which allows the rush to get home. And this is where I thought the Saints did a good job the other day of finding ways to get in the throwing windows. Now, this guy, you could always check it down. Don't get me wrong there. But you got good coverage. This may be, I don't know if that was a flag just thrown there, but this may have been the one that didn't count. But you see the coverage there, and then it allows the rush to get home. This happened a few times. So, and they even happened with chip blocks. Now, what are you trying to do in this look here? You're trying to create what they call a 5-0. And all that means is these 5 right here have these 5 right here, and it gives you one-on-ones. And then you start pick gaming or whatever the case is. You can drop those guys, but it creates, see how those pick games they're creating?
Mm-hmm.
It creates one-on-one issues with the linemen, but that's why you mug those linebackers up over the linemen, because it causes them to change their protection calls. I thought the interior was just beating on this play action right here. Watch my man.
Look at him walking back.
Just watch my man from the end zone right here. I mean, this is just, hey, I'm a bigger man than you right now, and I'm gonna drive you back, and I'm gonna get the tackle and the sack. So I haven't seen that from the Saints in a while. Those kind of, I mean, you've got guys. I've seen the edge guys, but those interior guys just walking dudes back. I just haven't seen it in the last few games. I saw it the other day. This one's crazy because you get chips and get a sack. And so what you're going to end up getting is, you see the tight end is chipping here. This back is chipping here. So right now you've actually got 7 guys in a protection. Now it ends up being a 5-man pro, but you got 2 guys hitting off the edge to slow down the edge, and then they're getting out. The coverage here is a version of Tampa 2. You can see how he's dropping out here. Mm-hmm. But they've got right now, you could drop it to him, but you see the first down's way over here. So you could drop it to him, but that's a long way to go. So that's why they're so far back. So they got good coverage, and then it just allows time for, he steps up in the pocket. And again, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was it Derek Carr's brother? It was David Carr that got sacked the most ever before Burrow or whatever. But
yeah, for
I don't know if the
expansion team with the Texans.
I don't know if they were watching film together before this game or what the case was. But again, you're talking about nothing fancy. It's 4-man rush. It's 4-man rush, and you just got guys that just keep fighting. They're just fighting. And then again, we always talk about containing the quarterback and making him step up. Well, that's what they did right here. Made him step up, and then you've got guys here converging. So good job you got all 4 of them jumping on him.
Hey, everybody gets you get a quarter of a sack?
I guess. But okay, so I got 2 more. I got 2 more to show here. This is what we called pass 18 solid. They're faking 18 here, and then you're going to get a whirly bird, is what we called it by one of the linemen. So I believe it's the center that whirly bird's right here. Hold on, let it catch up. Come on, Derek, you can snap the ball. So watch the center's going to whirly bird. The center is responsible for him. Quarterback's supposed to come over here and set up somewhere over behind where the tight end was. This is like old Tom Brady stuff.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying. You can see where it came from. It's Josh McDaniels, but it's old Tom Brady stuff. But that's where this center on the whirly bird never gets his base under him, and just gives up a sack.
And this is them trying to get out of the pocket, essentially, because they're getting so much pressure. Like, they're trying to scheme against what just happened.
It's pocket movement. He should end up somewhere over here when it's all said and done, because they're trying to move the pocket. These guys are selling stretch.
And they want to take a shot here, huh?
And you see where he ended up. He ended up about right where I said, because that's where the tight end was. You tell him set up behind the tight end. And this guy's got to run as fast as he can to get over here. And then see how he's got his feet like that. That's not a stance you want to be in as a lineman. All right, last one. I just want you to watch the push-pull by this, because I thought this was cool. But they did a push-pull versus a left tackle here. So this guy's going to come up here. He's going to push him back, kind of pull him down, and then go around him. Push, pull, dip, and
dodge.
Simple day one. if you've got, and this goes to the players or coaches out there listening, if you're a D lineman or you coach D line or you know a guy who plays D line and he's long, so he's got long arms, have them go attack these linemen, get their hands on them, extend, because the linemen are going to try to pull you to them. All right, the linemen want you close to them so that they're trying to get you. You get extension and then throw them and then dip. And watch, this is a perfect example. Push, pull down, dip. And that's how you got
teaching
around.
tape right there.
Yeah, so that to me is, I saw more from the D line and the Saints defense the other day that was impressive to me, and I think that's the big reason their defense had a shutout, because they were off kilter.
This is causing havoc.
You can kick me off, Stewie. But that, yeah. So again, I think if you're a Saints fan, and there's a lot of Saints fans around here, I think you need to not give up on the season just yet, because it hadn't been pretty, but if they can play like that or a version of that, and that wasn't a scheme game. That was just
we're a better team.
Just going to beat your ass today game.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can go out with that mentality, and I think that's what Dennis Allen can bring. Dennis Allen has that mentality. That's why he's been a good defensive coordinator for years. Defensive coordinators have that mentality. And if he can bring that mentality to the whole team and get them to buy in, and Andy keeps playing
complimentary football,
mistake-free ball, like he did in this one, not like he did against Arizona.
No.
And really, if you take one of those, you take the thing where it bounced off his hand at Arizona, they're 4-4 right now, probably.
Right, absolutely. And I thought you did a good job of kind of illustrating what Andy Dalton can do well and how you can get Alvin Kamara involved. It doesn't take anything special. It's just, these are easy plays, easy throws to make, and you get it to somebody like Kamara that, hell, you just turned a 4-yard pass into a 40-yard touchdown.
Yeah, and he's doing a good job of that. And that's where I'm not saying Jameis Winston can't do that. Jameis Winston could drop it down and drop it to a check down. He needs to, if
do
he
it
was
more.
Playing. Andy to me has a calmness, especially in the way he stands behind it. Easy, he's canning it. There's no fluster to him. Even when I've known the guy for years, and he really does. If he gets mad, he's like, "Gosh darn it, guys!"
He's kind of like a Kirk Cousins, not a cursor.
And hey, God bless him for that. I mean, and everybody's got their thing. He won't cuss. I've heard him cuss before, but it
means something.
It took a lot. I'll tell you that much. It's like when I've only heard my mom cuss a couple times in my life, and that's what it was. But so that's what I have for Caskey's Clicker today. I was gonna hit up the Cincy Cleveland game, but didn't have a chance to get it put together this morning. But I'll tell you what, they went totally off what they were doing the last few games, and that's what LSU cannot do. LSU cannot go away from what's been working, because the Bengals kind of went away from it. Those RPOs, those crossing routes, getting the ball to their guys and letting them run. And that's why the Browns just took it to them last night.
It was the version of LSU versus Tennessee, where it's like, what game is this?
Yeah, what are we watching here?
Oh, God, I bet on the Bengals last night, and I was like, I should have known better. No Jamar Chase. And then I was like, I forgot about Miles Garrett.
He's one guy. And I get it. I get who Jamar Chase is. But he's one guy. You can't tell me that you can't plug somebody in there and at least still run some stuff with your other guys that have been making plays. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Mixon. I mean, heck, they threw a pass to their other back, Evans, and the dude made a heck of a back shoulder catch as a running back. And I'm like, where's this kid been? Where's this kid been? And but anyway, that's neither here nor there for today's show. Do appreciate you guys coming in. Thanks to Citizens Bank and Trust here in Baton Rouge. Appreciate y'all. And then again, if you go to Caskey's Clicker on YouTube, subscribe, like, tell your friends, tell your family. Tell your dog. I don't care. Have them go over there. Tell your coaches. Tell your players. Tell everybody. If you've got somebody over in Europe, tell them about it. I'd love to have international people watching. So anyway, appreciate you guys coming in. We'll see you next time.
Stewie, if you want to, we'll drop the link into your LSU email and just blast it to everybody.
Yeah.
Just get 55 kids. They come to class, coach's class, with Citizens Bank.